robotic delivery on her gets away with a disperse.
Some damage on the best. Stone Shield prevents almost all of the Fearless. Right.
Shadow keeps juking Real. Real can't find the head. Shadow is still alive.
He's fighting for his line. He's fighting for the championship. He's fighting for everything. He's standing.
It's their game to lose.
Well, good deal, good deal. So, guys, we're jumping into episode 54 of the Smite update. Appreciate you guys coming to hang out with us tonight. Let me go ahead and just get a quick little audio correction here, and we'll be good to go. We'll be good to go. So, in the meantime, while I get that set up, what have you guys been up to this week in Smite?
I've been playing Siege.
How's that been going
and
for
wishing it was 5v5.
I feel that.
Pretty much. That's it.
Well, we were actually
That's my life.
we were talking about that last week, and you actually were not here, Fats. You care to weigh in while we're on that quick subject?
Apparently
here?
we're muted.
We're not muted. We're good. We're good now.
Okay.
We're muted.
We're
You're
good.
saying the chat is spazzing out?
It should be good now.
All right.
I was muted for the first few seconds, then I fixed it.
Rip.
So we should be good. We should be good. So, while we're on that subject, since we're kind of hanging out right about there, you weren't here last week, Fats, but I knew you kind of had some strong feelings regarding that. Care to, as I was saying, weigh in a little bit on just 4v4 versus 5v5 and your reasoning behind that?
5v5 was fun. I mean, if you wanted to make a bridge from Arena to Conquest, you could play Siege, have 5 people, and have fun, and still be able to transition yourself from a fun game mode like Arena towards a more serious Conquest without that huge change of this is a big circle we fight in. Now we have lanes, and I don't know, lane structure too. This is a big circle we fight into. Now, oh, there's 2 lanes and there's a jungle. I'm starting to understand now. 5 people still, and we don't get to have to deal with Aphrodite Bastet.
Yeah.
So,
I liked 5v5 because, one, it was fun. It was a casual game mode that was put into the game so people could enjoy the game. And like me and F. talked about, it could transition you easier into Conquest.
yeah.
But 4v4 is now just, if one person messes up, you lose.
That's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true. I mean,
It's not fun.
with 5v5, it was very much, even if at any point in the game you had 2 and 2 in each lane, you definitely had that 5th person rotating and kind of that big question mark. Like, where are they? Are they going to gank? Are they going to be 3v2? Are they grabbing, a Silver Fury? What? So, I can understand that. Krat, what about you? What have you been up to this week in Smite?
I've been playing a lot of 3v3 with my boys.
With
so
your
it's
boys.
been fun.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, who are you playing
and-
with now? Are you still subbing in with You're a Wizard?
So I play with Gravity Jesters, Krat Fanboys, Euro Wizard. Like,
Okay.
I play with all the 3v3 teams because I've been casting it for 6 months. So it's like, oh, Krat, yeah, let's play with him. I subbed for Gravity Jesters in last week's EGL 3v3 for the first round match and stuff. I got my legendary Neath.
That's pretty
I'm
baller.
Considering Yanis or Fenrir for my next legendary. My highest rank assassin is like mastery rank 5 Arachne, so
Okay.
it would be a long way.
Gross.
But yeah, I know I don't play assassins at all, but I also miss 5v5 Siege, man. Like 4v4 Siege just strategically feels shallow
Okay.
because and Octane, do you watch any sports? Are you a sports enthusiast?
I'm pretty decent, big into football at this point right now. And on
Okay,
that,
so you know
yeah.
how there's like the basic level of football play where there's like the simple playbook and you just follow it?
Yep.
And then there's like high level football play where there's in-depth strategies and like minute little things that make a big difference and a big impact on the game.
Yep.
That's the difference between 4v4 Siege and Conquest. It wasn't the difference between 5v5 Siege and Conquest. I felt like 5v5 Siege had a lot more depth.
Okay.
Because there was that third person. It
Yeah.
wasn't just 2 people in lanes, whoever has the better lane out of
Wins.
both lanes.
Yeah.
Whichever lane wins, and you rotate over, you win the other lane, you win the game. And
Okay.
that is shallow and
Yeah.
bad. I hate Siege 4v4.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Agreed.
we'll get more into Siege a little bit as we talk about the tournament here in the next section. Before we go ahead and jump in, I have not been doing. I'm trying to think. I played a little bit of Smite this week. I was at a bachelor party this weekend, so I really didn't get
How was that?
Yeah, it was good. I went to my first pro soccer game, which was ironic because
Awesome.
then I look up on my phone. I'm like, wow, Shablanke skin for World Soccer. I'm like, how ironic. I was like, that's pretty cool. But it was cool. It was cool. I went and saw the Philadelphia Union team versus the Vancouver Whitecaps. I think, yeah, Vancouver Whitecaps. Either way, it was the first half was boring as anything, but the second half was like amazing. It was so exciting. So that was cool. Definitely cool to check that out. Soccer if you're in the U.S. Football if you're over in the EU.
If you're anywhere else.
That's right. Anywhere else in the world. Yes, they call it by football. Before we jump into community news, I want to remind you guys that the audio version is available on iTunes. So if you guys are just catching this late, you got to head out soon, and you want something to listen to at work or on the way to the gym while you're working out, whatever. Go and check it out on iTunes. It's available. You can check it out there, and the MP3 is available as well. So let's go to jump into community news this week. Right off the back, we do have a reminder that Pug Wednesdays are still available with HiRez APC and HiRez Kelly. They are doing Pug Wednesdays, where if you guys are, you're starting to get more and more to the competitive side of Smite, and you want to go ahead and try it out, you pretty much jump on, and they with a mumble. There's a Smite mumble. I'll go ahead and post a link in chat, and they organize these like great little scrimmages and stuff like that together. And Kret, you've done this a few times, right?
Yeah, I do like the pickup nights. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah, this week will be my first week being able to try it out, so I'm gonna try it out. Have some fun with it. I haven't had a chance.
Stuff. I'll make sure not to be there.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. You're so nice.
I wouldn't want to, ruin your fun.
Thank you. And the second big thing here for community news, HiRez Studios and LevelUp partner up to bring Smite to Latin America. And this is pretty big news. Pretty much the next step for Smite outside of Tencent, partnering with Tencent overseas in China and stuff like that. And what are your thoughts on this? Fats, I'll throw it to you first.
As usual, the Reddit hates it.
Yep.
But for a different reason, more so than the usual, oh, I'm a baby and I'm going to cry about it. More so in the South American community has dealt with LevelUp and how they deal with things that are saying things such to the extent like HiRez, we've seen what LevelUp does to games. They completely kill them. Please choose a different developer to bring it down here. But I do not believe HiRez is going to be directly in. Well, I mean, they'll be involved with the South America, so they won't be able to ruin the game in their own way, if that's what they've been doing. But like the South American community is really, they're cool with having their own servers. They just hate that it's going to be with LevelUp. Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if they would be happy with. The way Reddit works and the way community works. Like, they might not be happy with any organization that runs it. So I'm not really sure. I mean, I'm very pleased to see that we're starting to see more and more localized servers, so that those down in like Latin America don't need to deal with some of the NA ping issues, which is understandable. Just the distance and everything, the amount of hops it has to go through on the ISP networks. Like, I can understand their frustration, but I'm so happy that like we're starting to see more servers pop up. It's been kind of a stalemate, you know what I mean, for a while now, where it's been, you got your servers here in North America, on the East Coast, you got yours overseas, and I think it's Amsterdam is where the other ones are, I believe, over in the EU. So I'm kind of happy to actually start to see more servers popping up to be available. Kret, what are your thoughts about this recent announcement for Latin America?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about LevelUp.
Yeah.
If people are saying that they're a bad developer, I have no reason to disagree with them. They're probably right. At the same time, LevelUp probably won't actually have any developing aside from like front end stuff. So it could just be one of those situations what game was it? When you buy a game on Steam and you're really excited, and then Games Windows Live pops up its little logo, and you want to install it immediately.
Yep.
It might be like that, which would suck for them.
Yeah.
But it's still cool to have it in Latin America. We already do have Brazilian players on North American servers. I remember a long time ago there was a Brazilian tournament with ran, which was cool. But it's cool that they'll be able to compete in their own area without having to probably do some kind of crazy computer wizardry to actually make it work.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, I think it'll be pretty good. I'm eager to see what the numbers end up being, like if they publish any numbers at all that says, okay, like, hey, first week, here's how many Smite accounts have been set up. That would be kind of nice to see with LevelUp and how that works out. I mean, LevelUp is pretty much, my understanding, LevelUp is just like Tencent at this point, but in the Latin American market. There hasn't really been a ton released. I mean, I put the link in chat for those interested in reading a little bit more that came directly from Hi-Rez Studios' website. It just kind of outlines everything going on. You know, it talks about, you know, the partnership with LevelUp and everything. So I think it'll be pretty cool to see kind of how things work out moving forward, especially with LevelUp. We'll kind of see what happens. Any last comments on that before we move on to esports? No? Okay.
You.
Okay, cool. Well, before we do, if you guys are enjoying the show, make sure you tell Hi-Rez about it. Go down below, directly below this video stream, and click the streamer feedback graphic that you see down below. And tell Hi-Rez if you love the show, you hate the show. You know, the feedback is super important to let them know your thoughts on it, and I would appreciate it as well. So moving on for esports, you know, we talked about this last week. We did have the team solo mid skin that came out, and with that said, that skin that came out has been doing pretty good actually on the numbers. Last week I think we were at 13,360 or something like that at last week's show. And this week, the prize pool for that TSM Invitational, which a portion of the proceeds from that Apollo skin go towards, is now at 17,230 last time I looked. So this is pretty big. I didn't get a chance to talk to you guys about it all. Have you guys heard much about this Invitational at all? Or pretty much at this point, it's kind of just been behind the books? Nobody knows really anything.
We just know that it is a Team Solo Mid Invitational.
We just know that there's a lot of money in it. Like,
and there's money. Yeah.
That's all we know.
Yeah, I'd be.
That's exciting nonetheless, though. So
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing else to really say. Like, I know there's money. I know TSM is hosting it.
Yeah.
And I know Smite's being played by the skin.
Yeah. I mean, there hasn't really been too much. When we were talking about it last week with Hindu Man and F-Dot, I was kind of mentioning, like, hey, is this going to run for, like, 2 months? Is it going to run for, like, 2 more weeks? Because right now, like, it's looking pretty dang good for a prize pool. And, you know, some people have said, oh, it's most likely going to be a online tournament. And if so, an online invitational. And if so, great. But, I mean, for an online invitational, my guess is it's going to breach well over 20, probably 25. That's pretty dang good. Without a doubt, for just a 1 weekend tournament for 25 grand. So we'll have to see what happens with that with more details, because I've gotten a few questions on Twitter and stuff like that asking about it after we talked about it last week, and we don't really know anything because nothing's been published about it. So hopefully we start to hear stuff here shortly. Let's go ahead and move on to our high-res tournaments this weekend. We did not have your typical qualifiers. These were a Siege tournament in 4v4. And did either of you gentlemen have a chance to watch these?
I had a chance. I did for a while.
Okay. Why do you?
I watched mainly. Mainly I watched to hear DM and Hindu, and outside of that, I was just not that interested.
Are you a little salty because it's not 5v5?
I'm a 4v4 caster. I don't know. There's nothing to say. Brett, do you have things to say?
I slept through the tournaments. Oops.
Oh my word! You guys
I
are
was
such
sick.
trolls.
I slept through today's.
All right.
Oh, high five.
Bad. That's bad. I can't high five.
All right. So for those of you guys that didn't have a chance to watch it, first place was Cognitive Gaming. No surprise there. Second place.
Everything.
I know. Geez. Second place, the Game Changers. Third place, Fat Chunk. Is that Assemble? Is that what I'm reading?
Fat Chunks Assemble. Yeah, it's Kiki's team.
Okay. And finally, Critosaurus. So we had that going on this week. I think it was kind of cool. It was nice to have something like this going on versus like not having the qualifiers go on at all and have no tournament, should I say, at all. So it's pretty exciting. So from what you guys watched, was there anything that really stood out to you with 4v4? And you guys had the chance to cast the 4v4 for Smite Central. What are you finding? Like, is the meta starting to stabilize out, or is it literally just pick whoever at this point?
All right. So here's
Brett,
the problem
please.
with 4v4.
Go ahead, Brett.
Now,
Take it away.
you remember, Octane, you remember 212?
I miss it. I miss it so much.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. 4v4 isn't 2-2, and here's why. Because in 2-2, you had a strong lane. When you have 5 people, you need a balanced team composition for team fights.
Okay.
What that means is you're going to need frontline, you're going to need like bruisers and assassins and dive, and then you're going to need backline, like your hunter.
Okay.
So in 2-1-2, you'd have a hunter lane, and you'd have a bruiser lane. So Thor, Bacchus, and Ymir on her, let's say. Thor Bacchus is better than Ymir on her. It's a strong lane versus a weak lane, which means that the weak lane has to play defensively, but they're stronger late game. The strong lane tries to kill. In Siege, you don't need to do that. It's strong lane versus strong lane. They both fight. Someone wins. There's no counterplay. They just keep winning. Then they go win the other lane, and then they win, and then they win the game. And if it's balanced, then it's just going to be a brawl, and that's not interesting. Yeah. So it's like, dude, when you have lanes matching up against each other, and you don't have to do strong lane versus weak lane, it's weak and uninteresting. And that's my problem with 4v4 Siege. Whereas 5v5 Siege, you have that third player, so there will be a strong lane by virtue of numbers.
Yep.
And you also have to balance your team comps better.
Okay. What have you found necessarily with the strategy of 5v5 with? Because I've seen and heard from some people like, oh, Siege Tower pops out left lane and is pushing left lane. Okay, a lot of people rotate right lane in order to dominate that lane. You know, what have you found with that? Fats is shaking his head. What have you found, Fats, or what have you viewed in Siege with that strategy?
In 5v5, that was the optimal strategy. If you get a Siege Tower, then everybody can focus on the lane that doesn't have a Siege Tower, and you'll probably get 2 towers for it easily, but then you have to remember that people are still going to be there defending it, and also 3 people will probably kill the Siege Tower and rotate over to defend the other lane. Like there's a lot of different ways to play the mode. It's just I thought Siege was supposed to be for fun and not competitive. Honestly. Because I mean there's a lot of competitive arena players.
Yeah.
But we all typically believe arena to not be the competitive mode for this game.
No, agreed.
I didn't think Siege would go into the competitive mode.
In fact, when you've seen high-level competitive arena, you find out that it's not fun at all.
Oh.
You just sit there and you farm. It's really effective, and it's actually very strategic.
Okay.
But
now, what are you guys finding with the timing of 4v4 versus 5v5 in regards to your endgame timing? Like, is it longer, shorter with 4v4 versus 5v5, or you're not seeing a difference at all?
Games will go fast depending on what lanes you have.
Okay.
If somebody has Aphrodite, the game will be over very quickly. If somebody has Bastet, the game will be over very quickly. If somebody has Hercules and knows how to play them, gotta put that there. Because that's not an easily brain-dead god. If you can land an Earthbreaker, the game will be over very quickly.
You don't even know how to play. You just have to be able to hit that one ability.
So you're saying
Just
pretty much the speed.
Earthbreaker.
So pretty much you're saying very much so where the god selection very heavily determines the speed of the game within Siege.
The game is decided in picks and bans more than other game modes
Yeah.
because, as I said, there's no in between in 4v4 Siege. Either one team has a lane that wins, or no one does.
Okay.
And the team that has a lane that wins will win the game.
Okay.
90% of the time.
We've
And
seen
like
it
in
happen.
Conquest, that's not true because it's so much bigger and
Yeah.
there's so much more going on. That win lane lose game totally happens. 4v4, not so much.
Now I'm like going all over the place with it, but I'm just finding out more and more with it. What are your thoughts on the size of the map for 4v4 versus 5v5? Does it affect it at all with the sizing difference that you guys are noticing? I mean, for like. What I mean by that is with 5v5, does this really, the size of the map really fit 5v5, or do you feel it's more in favor of 4v4? Or do you think it has or do you have no influence at all at this point? Like you think, no, not really an influence.
There's no real way for me to answer that. Like the only thing I could say is if they wanted to be competitive in a 5v5, they'd have a bigger jungle.
Okay.
If they wanted to be competitive in 4v4, it'd be less of a jungle.
Okay.
I don't know what to say.
All right.
I think the map size is fine for 5v5. I think it's okay for 4v4 if not a little big.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not Okay, if you look at the size of the Joust map, which is a really nice size for 3v3,
Mm-hmm.
and you compare it to the size of the Siege map, and you add like one extra player,
Yeah.
it's so much bigger,
Yep,
and that's
I
a
agree.
little awkward.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like in 4v4, there's a lot of dead space around the Silver Fury, whereas in
Yeah.
5v5, because you've got that 5th player, that's not so much dead space as it is like no man's land.
Yeah.
And that's a very key difference, because no man's land is dangerous and dead space is like whatever. You're walking through there and you see like a Fenrir and you're just like, okay, I'm just gonna turn around and go this way. Like, no problem. How you doing?
Well, the reason I asked about it as well, which is the size of the map, was this past week we also had an email come out from Hi-Rez Studios that I don't know if you guys recall seeing, asking for a survey of the 1v1 and the 3v3 map. Did you guys get that email?
I did not.
Okay, there was an email, Fats, that came out, and it was a survey, and we haven't really had those in a while from Hi-Rez, and it was very much so, what are your thoughts on the current 1v1 map? And it had, like, a few different levels, like, the size is too small, size is too big, size is perfect, and it said the same thing about 1v1 versus the 3v3, which, as we know, is the same map, and it asked all different questions. Do you think it should be larger? And it was very much focused on, hey, do we need a new 3v3 map, or do we need a new 1v1 map? And then at the very end, it had it open for whatever discussion you'd like to have in there. And, I'll kind of ask you, Kret, how did you answer in that perspective, do you recall, with 1 versus 1 and 3 versus 3 with that survey?
I think 1v1 is a garbage game mode and I have no interest in it.
Okay.
Game's not balanced around 1v1. There are too many OP picks.
Okay,
It's
I can
so
see that.
much. Just like, did you pick this god? They picked this god. You lose. Or, did you pick this god? Doesn't matter, you're against Get Sticker. You lose.
Nice. I like that.
No thanks.
Shout out to Get Sticker.
Yeah, right?
3v3, I cast it a lot, so I don't think the map's too big or too small. I think you could take a little bit of health off the Phoenixes, maybe. Or maybe, like, add a neutral objective that will make your creeps a little bit stronger, but all in all, the big problem with 3v3 is people are like, we can't take the tower, we can't take the Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yeah, no shit,
Time
you
to
didn't
camp.
pick anyone who can take a tower or a Phoenix. Like,
That's true.
if you don't have a hunter and you don't build Polynomicon on your mage,
You're not melting it.
and you don't have pen, you're not going to kill it. But if you have, let's say, a warrior for your support like Sun Wukong, and you've got a hunter, maybe, or a Polynomicon mage, you can just whittle down the Phoenix. And so I think it's not so much a map problem as it's a problem with playstyle and picks. And yes, in picking a lineup that is a little bit weaker at killing Phoenixes and towers, you do have a stronger fight. But then you lose because you're trying to tower dive under a Phoenix, and you can't fight that 3v5. The Phoenix being worth 2 players if it stays on you the whole fight. So, I think it's a draft problem, mostly. And I think people just need to realize that you just draft to have someone who can kill a Phoenix, and then you kill the Phoenix.
I mean, for me, when I was looking at the survey, I was completely okay with it for 1 versus 1. For 3v3, I definitely would like to see something different. I mean, I like the basis of it with your you do have your solo independent lane with your single lane objectives, and then you have your jungle. Like, I understand that. Like, I want to keep that. I'd like to see something a little bit different. And I saw some people tossing around ideas in regards to, there should be more objectives in 3v3 and stuff like that. And I don't really know how I feel about that. I mean, I like talking about like almost like side lane harpies and stuff like that. The big one, though, on that survey, which when Fats and I had the pleasure of casting together, we talked about a lot, was the death timer they asked about in 3v3. And for me, I see that as a huge effect, because once you breach that, I don't know, I'd say probably about 15-minute mark, if your entire team wipes, that's enough time to clear the tower, clear the Phoenix, and depending on, as Kret was saying, if you do have a mage with Polynomicon or that hunter, you can get a start on the Titan as well. So that was a big one for me, was just the death timer. What about you, Fats? What are your thoughts on the 1 versus 1, 3v3 map, and then death timers between 1v1 and 3v3?
1v1 is dumb, I agree. Because if you pick something that just kills people, then you kill the one person you're fighting. That's it.
Okay.
Or you just backdoor them and win.
Yeah, or you could just, like, walk around and do things. 3v3 needs an objective, or needs its own map. I mean, there's no Hindu map, maybe a 3v3 Hindu map. I don't know. Hindu man can be like the neutral objective. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Here's the one thing, though, and I think this is actually nice. 3v3 is the one game mode where you have a really strong comeback mechanic. Like, you literally just sit under your Phoenix, and if the enemy team plays wrong, you get back in the game.
Yeah.
Mainly because if somebody in the chat just said, well, if they're just camping their Phoenix, then just start them for EXP. Okay, then you'll both be level 20. It'll be a 40-minute game. Then if you dive and misplay, you lose because of death timers.
Well, the thing is, they shouldn't get experience. The idea of freezing the lane is that they come out and then you hard engage on them.
But you're not going to.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah,
is you don't have to.
But that's a draft problem, is my point. Like, if you can't hard engage or poke down a Phoenix, what are you drafting? Because you're not prepared to win the game.
You're drafting a team fight.
That's all. Yeah, that is true.
Most 3v3 is drafting a team fight so you can stomp early and force them to be pushed back so far that they don't have EXP, don't have the levels, don't have the poke or any damage under their belts, so they can't fight you back. But if they have an Ao Kuang, or if they have a Scylla, or what? Poseidon?
Yeah.
Anybody who can clear will stop you.
Can we talk about Scylla real quick, though?
Nah, there's no need to. There's no need to.
She's so good. Why are you laughing about her? I feel like she's so good.
We'll talk about her later. But as far as 3v3 is concerned, if you have anybody, even if you're losing and you have somebody who has good push potential, you're still in the game because you can just camp defensively and still be fine. And that's the problem. Is the one thing is that wall in front of the Titan causes one, an issue with camping, and two, an issue with poking. If your team can't stop them from poking over the wall, then you lose. If your team can't get anywhere close to that wall, then you lose.
Do you remember when that happened in 3v3 and you and I saw that like being focused down when we first started casting Fats, and we're like, are you serious? You can stand behind a wall and damage the Titan and don't aggro
you
it?
Didn't know that.
I
knew that
I
because
was
I used
like,
to play.
that's right. And I was like,
and you were like, what is this? They need to fix this.
This is a bug. I'm like, you're attacking through a wall, and I understand like, oh, it's magic or whatever. You could go through walls, but if you attack the Titan, it should auto aggro. Like, I was like, this is ridiculous, and that comes down to map, and I want to see a new map, and with that corrected, because when I saw that, I was like, what? So you're all just range, you just stand behind that thing, focus it down, never take any damage? I was like, this is absurd. So,
picks and bans.
That guy, it's all about your picks and bans. Yes, I do.
Mode, like, every game mode in this game is about picks and bans.
Yeah.
The problem is with Conquest, it'll be a much more balanced idea of picks and bans because your picks will be. You'll have a larger amount of people playing. That means the other team can have a counter to that extra player or a counter to those two extra players with one of their picks. Yeah. Whereas in 3v3, it's still the same amount of bans that you get in 5v5. Same god pool, but then there's only 6 people.
Yeah.
Which means you can pick 3 OP characters, and then the other team either has to pick 3 counters that don't work well together, or 3 characters that work well together and just can't counter what you're going to do. If they pick Scylla Wukong and you don't have Poseidon, you're going to have the worst game of your life.
Yeah, because you need the cripple for sure. No, I can.
So they're going to ban Poseidon, first pick Scylla, and you have to get Wukong, or they're going to get Bacchus, and then who cares because you lose.
Yeah.
Wukong... No, excuse me. Bacchus is broken. Okay.
Oh, Bacchus is so good. Well, you and I have always said Bacchus is one of the best supports in 3v3, without a doubt. Like, he's so good.
He's the best support. His kit is dumb. Intoxicate! You're drunk, and you just took all your health. Bye-bye.
You're dead.
He's so good. The best thing is like casting 3v3 when I did and seeing it not get banned out and not get selected first, and I'm like, what? I'm like, you didn't ban him, you didn't pick him first. I'm like, what are you doing? And then you go pick like an ADC first, and you're like, are you kidding me? Do you realize you have 3 gods available that you can use pretty much for filling in that support role, and no one has touched it? I was like, unbelievable.
That's 3v3.
So let's talk about death timers. Death timers, Fats. What do you think about the death timers? Because to me, I feel it's an issue for sure in 3v3.
Okay, if you reach level 15 and you die, there's your tower in Phoenix.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's not a joke. That's it. That's why defensive play is such a problem, because they can play defensively, and then people are so used to the high octane
That's right.
action that's in the game that as soon as somebody starts to turtle or camp them, they'll get upset and bored. And they're like, forget it, just do it. Let's just go kill them.
Let's just die.
And then they die, and then they lose.
Yep.
And it's just the worst feeling in the world. Because one, if it's a character you can't really punish for how good their camping game is, you can't really punish Alquan because the range on his tornado is too big. He doesn't have to get that close to even place it down.
Yeah.
You can't punish Agni's rain fire because if you try to punish it, you're gonna get stunned or hit, and it's not gonna be a fun time for anybody.
And
You
then he
can't
dashes
punish-
away.
Oh, yeah, and then he dashes
startup.
away.
With 0 startup.
Well, that's the thing you're talking about with Al Quang too. The ability to go ahead, like if you're playing against a defensive team, you just throw out throw out a tornado under their tower, forces them back. You just dive in, and as Kreta talked about, if you have an ADC or a hunter, or if you have your Polynomicon mage, you can just burn it down, and they can't step in. I feel like if you're looking at tower versus Phoenix, now granted your distance plays a big factor, but I feel like the tower is so easy to burn down, but the Phoenix is such a draw out of late game. Like, it's such a draw of getting that Phoenix, I feel like. Have you noticed that?
Between the
Yeah.
Phoenix and the Fountain.
Yeah, just the fact of being able to
the defender's
respawn.
advantage is too strong.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, if you're looking at a map and you're looking at a new map, that's definitely something to consider. I'm not saying...
At the same time, there are a lot of times where I see teams dive a Phoenix and
Yeah.
they go for kills, and it's like, wait, hold on. You just push them back with a Hoon Bot's ultimate.
Why are you
Kill
not...
the Phoenix. It'll
Yes.
take 4 seconds, and then you're good.
Yep.
Like, you win. Because once that Phoenix is down, you probably just win the game through poker
You
pool.
do win
Yes.
the game.
It's so
because
easy. Fire minions. Oh.
Unless you have somebody who can kill the fire minions in that general Phoenix area before they're able to aggro your Titan,
Yeah.
then you're going to die. You're going to lose. That's why I honestly think Ao Kwang has made his way back in the 3v3 just because of his ability to
push.
defensively camp.
As long as you can hit your ult. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
really strong.
That's pretty much it. You use your ult as like, all right, they're too close. Ult them.
Yeah.
Back to tornado and creeps.
That's very
it.
true. That's very
That's
true.
honestly it, and that's why the game mode has stagnated to the point where it's just like, okay, all the season 3v3 players are doing worse against people who are coming from 5v5 because they're hyper aggressive because Conquest is much more aggressive than 3v3's turned into.
Yeah.
So unless you're a 3v3 team with an Ao Kwang or somebody, I keep saying Ao Kwang because he's easily the most defensive character in the game and the easiest one to play while being defensive. So
Yep.
I'm going to keep using that as an example.
That's a good
But
example.
unless you have an Ao Kwang and you're a seasoned team, Cog is going to beat you.
Oh, do we have to talk about Cog?
No, I'm just saying that's because Cog is such
They're
a
so good.
formidable 5v5 team.
Well, they
Yeah.
also
When
picked
they
Scylla.
translate, huh?
They also
They
picked
also
Scylla.
picked Scylla.
Well, I mean, okay, we get it, Cret. Scylla is dumb. We
Yeah,
know.
Yeah, a little dumb.
Kind of a lot of dumb.
A little dumb.
Just a little bit. I mean, sick 'em 3 people might be a little. Make it no people.
Especially,
2.25 seconds doesn't get reduced by DR.
it doesn't help in 3v3 that your lane size, along with your lack of ability to escape via jungle. So like when she pops that ult, it's like, okay, where do I go? Because you can only back or move forward so much, but until you get to the entrance of the jungle. So I can see that. I mean, she's really good. I did add a spot at the end of the show here to talk about Scylla just for Cret, so it is available if we need to talk about it more. Let's jump back to what we were talking about. We were talking about the Hi-Rez 4v4 tournaments. The North American one was today, or yesterday. I'm sorry. The EU one was today, and today we had first place go into Worth Gaming. So it's great to see them, up in the top 4 once
Boys
they've been
from
there.
Worth.
I
Awesome.
know, man. Second place, Cluelessness. Do you have any clue who's on that team or no? I didn't get a chance.
Frenzy?
It's Bloody Tech.
Oh, okay, just there. Okay.
Well, they get a
44.
name change?
Or
No,
they-
it's just his Bloody Tech with like 3 of their members and then some
Okay.
other guy or something
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
I saw some name changes, whereas somebody's name was Clueless Frezzy.
Yeah, see
Frezzy's name
that?
is
That's
Clueless
Frezzy.
Frezzy now.
There's Clueless
And
Mo X. Yeah. I
See?
that.
Their names are all have Clueless, so maybe that's a giant change from.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I mean, their old team name was Bloody Tech EU, and now Cluelessness. That's kind of a cool name. I like that name better.
We don't really have any idea what's happening with that.
Outside of that, third place went to I5. So seeing them up in that again is always great. And then outside of that, one against Cloud. Am I missing this here? Nein. What is that?
9.
Oh,
Cloud9.
LOL!
The joke is-
I failed, but if I go ahead and look at who's
Yeah.
playing on that team, it was Suntouch, Sayo, Trixtank, and GP. So like, okay, pretty much the players that like Trixtank didn't go to East versus West, so he played on the team there too. So okay, all right, that's cool. That's cool. Happy to see that. So any comments on the EU scene at all for 4v4? Any thoughts?
That's a
4v4.
lot like the Conquest scene.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it now. I saw SK Gaming in there, got past round 2, moved on to round 3, but lost to I5.
I4.
I4, oh my word. I guess that really is I4. You are correct. It's only at 4 eyes. Elo Fishers lost to Worth Gaming, I see, in there. They did rather well last week for Conquest.
They had Game Hunter on their team this weekend.
Did they? Oh, I see that. Okay. Little change up of things. Okay, pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, well, so let's go ahead and move out of talking about the Siege tournaments here. And let's talk about one of the bigger things right now in Smite, which was the East vs. West Tencent Games Arena 2014 showing for Smite. And you guys get a chance to view the Chinese or the actual Chinese stream itself off of Tencent's website. It was also then rebroadcast on Smite Game. And for those of you guys not familiar, East vs. West will be rebroadcast via Drybear and DM Brandon tomorrow. That's Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern. So
can I say this really fast?
Please do.
Tomorrow you will be able to watch it in English.
I did not get a chance to see that, but I went through the rebroadcast today, and I hear Drybear's voice. And it's like, please be respectful of other languages or other cultures. And I didn't get a chance. Was there a lot of like hate and disrespect going on there?
Go look at my Twitter.
Oh.
People were like, subtitles!
Oh my word.
Yesterday, they were the most ignorant, whiny babies of all time
Get them.
in the chat.
I want.
Legit, I will be straight up. Legit,
Yeah.
Ching Chong Thor Bing Bong.
Oh, really? They were just like
Was a comment
disrespectful.
70 times,
Oh.
at least. And
Oh.
people are like, put this in English. What is this?
Oh my word. Okay,
People
so
were actually upset because we had a chance to get a stream from China
yeah,
on Smite Game.
so quickly too.
Luckily, but it wasn't in English, so they act like they didn't understand the game to the point where and I made a joke yesterday, Raw shot a beam, what does it do? I don't understand what they're saying.
I know, right? It's like, you know the game, people. Yes, there's different commentators. Yes, it's in a different language, but you can still enjoy it. So I can understand there. So those of you guys not familiar, what it was called East versus West, and it was a show match, not a tournament, but a show match of Team Solo Mid, Team Dignitas, and World Elite. Also WE. You'll see that passed around a lot. And what happened was they brought over Team Solo Mid, and that was part of, I guess, the package with the Smite launch tournament. And then, the winners would then go over into the Tencent Games Arena. And I guess afterwards they ended up inviting Team Dignitas as well. And so for Team Solo Mid, we actually had quite a mismatch, I guess you could say, of players. Because a lot of the guys, I guess from what I heard, some guys had exams or some guys couldn't make it from Team Solo Mid.
What happened was Youngbay was obligated to go because he was on the TSM team that
Roster at the time.
launch tournament. So
Okay.
he was just sent right in there, and then the roster change happened, and he was like, well, I'm still going. Game Hunter couldn't make it. I don't quite remember why.
Okay.
So they just put Zimstar in this slot, and then Trixtank and Cuvo couldn't do it because they had exams.
Okay.
So they got the boys from Snipe, Incon, and Shin.
Yeah.
And
I wonder if they had a chance to be like, okay, who do you guys want for these positions? And they were able to be like, okay, let's go through the Smite roster and pick, the different choices. I wonder if that's what they ended up doing, or if it just came down to
They
a
just had
high-res
to pick
decision.
people who weren't contracted by a team.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Snipe
that's
is
probably
legit
right.
the
That-
only team that had no
Why must
sponsor.
you say things that make sense, Fats? Why must you say things that make sense?
Yeah, it's not your job.
Yeah, I know. Jeez. No, that's a good call though. Makes sense because there's some people that are playing for teams where, as Fats is talking about, it says in a contract you cannot play under any other team's name. So I can understand that. Team Dignitas, we had the same roster as we always do. No changes there. And then World Elite.
Actually, no, there was a change on the Dignitas roster. Jenny
Really?
Z wasn't there.
I don't know the
Yeah.
Jenny C joke, but it's funny.
Oh,
Either
word.
way.
Jenny Z joined Dignitas to replace Satman after the lunch tournament. I
Oh,
think
okay.
after week 2. And then
The alter ego?
But Zatman was on. No, it's a different person. But
Oh,
Zatman
okay.
was on the launch roster, so he was sent to China in place of Jenny Z, who's a much better player.
What a
You're
troll.
awful, Brett.
What a troll.
You're actually awful.
I'm not a troll.
All right, so outside of that, also for World Elite, I went ahead and added these two because I was not familiar with any of these players, just because we haven't had a real chance to really tap into the Chinese scene. It's very difficult. I feel like there isn't really a lot out there. So we had Hot Heart. And you guys catch, by the way, if he was I always saw him listed first. Was he like team captain, or you guys don't know? Not sure. Not sure. Hot Heart for World Elite. Not sure.
I don't know.
Okay. So we had Hot Heart, Myth, Smith. How do we say this name? Alfric, and Kuzi.
Who's control?
Oh man,
I started that chat last night. It was hilarious.
I am not a fan of that guy's name.
And I definitely wanted to, bring them up and actually, not just say World Elite, actually mention their names because, these are definitely names that we're going to hear more and more about, especially as we start to approach January and we start to talk about who gets invited to the World Championships and stuff like that. So I'm eager to see these guys then and see how things kind of shift up. I did have, so let's talk about it. Did any of you guys have a chance to catch any of that? The rebroadcast, the original version, anything?
I was in Smite game chat the whole time.
Okay. Thoughts? What are your thoughts on the whole thing?
I really liked the commentary. I thought it was really insightful.
Okay.
I learned a lot.
Did you? You know Chinese?
Yeah, I think they should bring in those Chinese casters to do the European tournament.
All right. Why can't you say that without a smirk on your face?
Because I'm making fun of Inhuman right now.
What about you, Fats? Did you catch any of it at all?
I was there the whole time.
What did you think?
I was there for most of it.
What did you think of the whole thing? Just overall, everything about the whole East versus West.
I enjoyed the stream a lot. I hated the chat.
We got to disable chat moving forward.
I can't. I'm a mod. I had to be there.
Yeah, right.
But I enjoyed the idea of being able to watch East versus West show match. The first match, best out of 3 between Dig and TS Alliance.
Okay.
Team Solo Alliance. I'm gonna call them that.
Okay, I like it.
There was no real TSM except for like Lobster Bot, but he was there.
Yeah.
My man's Lobster Bot was going in. But like, I liked it. I liked the production they had over there. I really enjoyed the fact that we got to see what the Chinese meta is shaping into. They've had a lot of issues, and a lot of people in the chat were like, TSM is throwing. TSM isn't trying their hardest, and a lot of people thought that they just weren't trying their hardest against the Chinese because the Chinese meta is not at our level.
Okay.
They're still developing their gameplay. They're still developing their shot. Their picks were great.
Yeah.
They had great picks.
Okay.
They just didn't know how to play as effectively as we did.
Okay. See, I didn't have a chance.
Did you see the match?
I did not. Okay, correct.
I don't know. That looked like normal Shing to me.
No, that was normal Shing. We know that. Except for the fact that he died 3 times about Heartseeker. But that is kind of Shing-like.
Oh, my word.
Yeah, it's pretty Shing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not have a chance to watch the much of it at all, to be honest with you. As I said, I was at a bachelor party this weekend, and when I got back home from it, I tuned in because it was about it was real early in the morning. It was like 2:30, so it was available. It was being streamed live then, and there was a link that somebody had posted on Reddit directly to the Tencent website, which was awesome. Thank you for that. And I caught a few minutes of it, maybe 5 to 10 minutes before I fell asleep. And it wasn't because it was boring. It was just because I was previously at a bachelor party and was not in the right state of mind to be staying up late watching Smite. And From what I did watch of it, though, I loved the production value that Tencent brought to it. Like, when I was watching it, I was like, wow, like, because I come from the StarCraft 2 scene, and so there was a lot of that quality of production that I saw in the StarCraft 2 scene from over in Korea that I saw here. And when I watched it, I was like, wow, like, these videos get you pumped. Like, the little, like, brief little spoilers of, like, the players, like, changing it, like, instantly changing into, like, different, like, costume outfit type of deals, and, like, the hype behind them, like, showing them behind bright lights and all this stuff. And it was really cool. And I was like, I would love to see more of this. But I really love the production value across the board. Was very, very good, especially for such a young scene in Smite. Now, granted, you know, Tencent's no stranger to the MOBA scene and esports production. So I thought that was excellent. Does anyone know why we didn't see Dignitas versus World Elite? Or was it just like a timing thing? Or
It was a time thing.
Okay. I was wondering.
They didn't have enough time to do it.
I mean, I was wondering because part of me was like, I can understand Team Solo Mid with, one, they won from the launch tournament, and two, they kind of have a mismatch of teams, so it might allow for a little bit more closer competition with World Elite. And I was like, if you put Team Dignitas versus World Elite, just the fact of how long Team Dignitas has been playing together, I felt like they might have done really, really well against World Elite, and it really would have not have been like a really good competition. But that was kind of my thoughts behind it. But Fats, it definitely makes sense as regards to a timing issue, for sure. So I have a link here that I'll share with you guys in chat, and it is a link to the Team Solo Mid and also Team Dignitas picks and bans, along with the scores that were available. So I posted that in chat. If you guys want to check that out, somebody put this together on Reddit, and so thank you to MLB Star 17. There's the link. It does not include any of the World Elite games, unfortunately. That's what I was really looking for, just because I haven't had a chance to completely sit through it yet. But you guys said the bans and picks were pretty spot on, from Fats had said too.
It felt like, I know for a fact that they played, okay, I don't know for a fact, but I'm pretty sure they played Dig vs TSM on North American Smite client.
Okay.
On the last patch.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't the current patch, it's the last patch.
It was the Cyrus
Warriors
patch.
still good.
Okay.
Yeah. Warriors still good, etc. It felt like the game TSM versus World Elite was on the Chinese version.
Okay.
Because it felt like there were gods missing. That just
Oh.
worked.
Okay.
Because it's like, even if you're not trying, it just felt like there would be no reason not to draft this particular god or that particular god in this situation. So, like, Aphrodite went through the bans, and, like, Zimstar would draft that, probably. It's so strong. So,
Okay.
I don't know. That's just what it felt like to me. Maybe the picks were just weird, but it felt like it was played on the Chinese client, which does have less gods, if my information is correct. There was some good games. Dig versus TSM was quite enjoyable. Dig definitely taking the upper hand, but good matches overall, and yeah, just it was a good game. Good games, great show match, and hopefully China's as excited as we are.
Yeah, for sure. I was looking. I included the notes that we have here regarding, Hi-Rez Stu posted a lot of images during the event, which was pretty cool. I'll put a link to his Twitter and chat if you guys are interested. There's a lot of pictures of kind of like the production layout setup, the teams together. You can also see other odd and ends here and there, just kind of from the whole event that you can follow along with. A big one that I saw was from Team Dignitas. It looks like they had a photographer there. And I'll include this in chat as well. And that is a link to Team Dignitas' website. And they have a pretty good amount of photos throughout the entire thing of the team prior to the event, things leading up to the event. And they have both days actually listed on there. So it's kind of cool to see. I'll put the other page listed as well. I definitely... It was quite unique, just... I don't want to say like stubborn for me, but just something I'm not used to with seeing like Team Dignitas page 1. The first picture is like a mask to wear, like while you're there. It's just interesting. I mean, I understand just the pollution is quite a significant difference, and I know speaking with some of the people that went over to China previously, that was a big deal for them. Like when I was speaking with like Team Dignitas, they were like, yeah, last time we were there, when we got back, it felt like we had something stuck in our lungs the entire time. So it could definitely be, I guess, like a shock to North American players and European players that aren't really used to that. That was surprising to me to see so many pictures with that, but I guess that's just the way it is over there. Outside of that, the last thing I found, and I wanted to talk, was just the fact that in China, we're not really seeing as much content coming out in regard, and I think it's maybe just because of the translation difference regarding like World Elite. But I did find a video from back in April of World Elite versus P2P. I guess it was something that was casted. So if you guys want to check out just any content from World Elite that you really didn't get your chance to get your hands on, here is a link in chat that I'll put in the Twitch chat. And have you guys? I haven't heard of P2P. Have you guys heard of them before or no? No.
Nope.
No? Okay. Okay. I wasn't sure how big of an organization they were or anything like that. I was really happy to find content on, YouTube for World Elite, for Smite. Granted, this was quite some time ago, but was still pleased to see it. It looks like it was in a 3v3 setting as well, which was quite different than what we're used to seeing there. So let's go ahead and move on to our patch review. And before we get into that, the patch review, is there anything else, Cret, that you want to talk about with Scylla?
All right.
Here we go.
Here we go.
There we go. Get comfortable.
Give us time.
You're chilling in the jungle,
Okay.
and Geb rolls up to you, and he blinks on you. Cataclysm follows up with Shockwave. Then Ymir blinks in,
Okay.
and he freezes you. And then Tyr comes through and hits you with his full combo, including the blue stance knockup, because I refuse to believe that it was taken away. And then you get mezzed by Apollo, and he actually knocks you up with his dash as he dashes away. And then Scylla roots you, and it lasts for 2.25 seconds because it doesn't take diminishing returns, so you're crippled as well.
Are you a little salty about that?
That's
It
just
doesn't
stupid.
take DR. I didn't know it had no DR.
It doesn't take DR. Yeah, like it should, and on the last patch, it lasted 0.75 seconds. Diminishing returns is really important. Have you, and I know everyone has seen this, right? You ever seen a chalk ult that lasts for like a second? You're like,
Yeah.
that was weird. That's diminishing returns. It's really important. It keeps you from being crowd controlled forever. It's an incredibly important system in our game that not only keeps you from being crowd controlled, but it also keeps different characters a little bit weaker because they pack more CC, and it keeps a hierarchy of crowd controls. You've got like the stun knockups and the roots and the cripples, and I think root being off DR is fine, but root cripple specifically not being on DR can't last 2.25 seconds in an AoE.
Okay.
Like, the duration has to go down, or it has to go back on diminishing returns. 1.25 seconds, like static per level, that's fine, because that's the minimum you need to hit someone with a 1-4 combo on Scylla if you're if you're as fast as possible, which is fine. That's stupid. She also has escape. She also does super high damage in late game. Yes, her early laning phase is weak, and that gets exacerbated if you build a Book of Thoth, but it doesn't matter because 15 minutes hits, and then you're the best character in the game.
So do you feel like DR is like required at this point? Like that's what you're noticing? Like, hey,
diminishing returns is an incredibly important feature to our game. Root Cripple doesn't necessarily have to go on DR, but if it's not going to be on diminishing returns, the duration has to go down.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Mesmerizes, like Kumba's Mez is 3.5 seconds. Apollo's Mez is 2.2 seconds, but it's on a Hunter. I think Fields of Love is 2 seconds. Like, Mezes are long because it's a bad form of crowd control. It gives DR, it suffers from DR, and it breaks on damage. Roots are longer, like Neath's Spirit Arrow, once again on a Hunter. 2 seconds, because you can attack, you can cast spells, you can jump, you just can't move.
Okay.
So it's a really important balancing, and having a root cripple that's AoE on 2.25 seconds that doesn't get affected by DR is just broken. It's too strong, and there is no reason to ever let Scylla through in Conquest or 3v3. Well, there's too much to ban in 3v3, but definitely not in Conquest.
Yeah, she's really good in 3v3. Just time and time again when I've seen her being played, it's really dominant for sure. Especially when you see like before, I've seen like MLC Stealth and stuff like that, or other players like that playing on Scylla.
Oxen, can you permit me in the chat real quick?
Nope, not allowed. Yes.
So I'm gonna drop a link to Flareboat's Word of Thoth, which is basically a explanation of game mechanics. On page 7 or 8, he explains diminishing returns in depth. It's much clearer than I can do. It's a really great resource, so shout outs to Flareboat for compiling this for all of us. It's a really, really, really great resource.
Alright, one sec here. Let me go ahead and permit you. Kind sir.
I also find it really funny that everyone around Scylla got nerfed and Scylla got buffed.
Yeah,
It
like,
was
like the Super
like-
Saiyan Warrior nerf.
Yeah!
And then Scylla's just like, I guess I can kill you easier now. Like,
Well, all the other mages, like Zeus was nerfed.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
Poseidon was nerfed, like
That's
the
true.
really big other
they had to
mages.
nerf Zeus because
Yeah,
he
they
was
did.
out of meta for so long because of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, they totally
so
did.
frightening, and he's always a ban. Now they
But,
made it
like-
so you don't have to ban him anymore, but he's kind of bad.
So people would be,
Whereas-
like, Herc's the best warrior, but Herc didn't really get a big buff. Like, he got some usability tweaks, but he's had those before. It didn't make him that much better. But everyone around him got nerfed. So it's like, yeah, you could say Herc got better. Scylla, everyone around her got nerfed, and she got buffed. Like, what more could you want? Anyway, check out that link if you want to learn more about the mechanics behind the scenes in Smite, and diminishing returns is on there, page 7 or 8. It's very, very well explained,
I like it.
and understanding diminishing returns is super important to getting to a higher level of play.
Okay. I like it for sure. Let's go ahead. Are we done on the Scylla rant? Are we good on Scylla?
Yeah, no, we're good.
We're good?
We're good.
Oh, that is perfect. That is perfect. What I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to go ahead and throw up. It's a quick minute and 29-second video. Makes it a little bit easier for us discussing just with the Xbalanque skin and stuff like that coming out here. So I'm going to go ahead, throw that up on screen, enjoy this, and we'll be back in a second. We're going to talk about it, talk about some of the other, I guess, spoils you could say that have kind of been going on today and yesterday that we revealed here. So we'll put it up, and we'll be back in just a second. So stay tuned. So that was a quick little video there that you guys saw regarding, you know, just some of the, I guess, Xbalanque changes coming forward. We'll talk about that first before we talk about some of the other stuff coming on. What do you guys think of that new skin and that video that was released earlier? Oh, let me unmute you guys. There you go. Now you're good.
Out of a vuvuzela. He shoots soccer balls out of a vuvuzela. What more could you want from your life?
He doesn't shoot soccer balls out of it, he kicks them.
Out of a vuvuzela. Alright.
No, he kicks them with his foot. For poison darts, he kicks the soccer balls.
Wait, he kicks them?
Yes, yes, he kicks them. Yeah, I thought. Okay, I'm gonna have to say the graphics in that video and what we got to see going on. I am like really impressed, and I don't know if this is specifically like because of the new Unreal Engine that they moved to, but I feel like the effects of that skin is by far one of the best effects that we're seeing compared to some of the other gods. You know, like do you guys think of that as well? Like just like wow, like this is pretty dang good.
Yeah, it pops a little bit more, and it feels like the actual assets used in the effects are a little bit higher quality.
Yeah, yeah, I was blown away by it, and So what it is you could get the Jaguar Footballer Shablanque skin, and then I think if you purchase it between now and I think it's July. Is it July? Sometime July. I forget the exact date. I do apologize, guys.
July 12th. It's my birthday.
Oh, of course. That's why they did it. You also get the Football Star 2014 Shablanque skin, and then somebody was saying in chat, and I can't confirm this. Maybe you guys can. You not only get the 2 skins, you also get the Ward skin for 600 total. 600 total gems. That's pretty dang good. I think that's pretty reasonable versus all of the drama we saw around the TSM Apollo skin. I feel like this is priced pretty dang good. Two Shablanque skins and also a Ward skin. So pretty exciting to see that there as well. Outside of that, we've also had recently released the Hercules remodel. Were you guys expecting this?
No.
Not surprised, considering Hercules looks kind of butt right now.
You just said that because you hate Hercules, Credit.
I actually played Hercules today, and someone raged out at me and told me to play harder gods. And I was like, listen, evolutionary Anubis, what do you want from me? He was like, Anubis is broken too.
Oh my word, really?
That's why you... Okay, I see now.
That's why I tweeted.
Anubis is broken, though.
Yeah, he is. He's horribly OP. Hercules didn't look good. He looked like a action figure, which was really, like, just didn't fit with the way Smite currently looks. Back when we had, like, those weird, like, bubble trees.
Yes. Well,
it was fine.
He looks exactly like it. Like, you look at his face.
You remember the cotton candy trees?
Yeah. Yes. He looks exactly like it.
Trees.
It's like I don't want to say like whatever. It just looks very like there's so many like little squares and stuff like that. Like nothing looks smooth about his art at all.
He just matched the old map better.
He matched the map.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He looks a lot better now. Rip beard though.
His head doesn't look like a giant thing anymore.
Yeah. His head actually looks kind of small.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of small, but maybe that's just relative.
What I'll do is while we're kind of talking.
I just hope I can keep the old Herc skin. Both of them.
Oh, you want both still? Okay.
I paid for them.
Yeah, I mean, what we see in the past after like a remodel, sometimes the skins stay the same. Like they look exactly the same until they actually redo them. So, like kind of like the Mountain Man Odin skin, like it stayed exactly the same until they actually went through and redid it. But
I miss Odin.
You miss Odin?
He was a thing once.
Yeah, once.
Now he is no longer a thing.
Yeah.
Odin's still a thing. He'll come back.
Odin is dead.
Nah, dude. He's still Odin.
He'll probably play in a different lane. Solo lane Odin might be a thing.
You can still play support Odin, man. You like. So here's the thing. You lose. I think it's 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 protections.
Okay.
That doesn't actually substantially affect the amount of damage you take from archers, because archers do such a small amount of damage they chainsaw you. So basically it's like reducing it by like 1 or 2 or 3. It means that you can't jump in completely recklessly and expect to not take damage, but you can still jump on people, swing your spear around, and mess them up. Like, Odin is still Odin, and people are going to realize that when they start to want Odin on their team again, because he brings a lot. I mean, when you have a Freyr jungle, and you're like, I want to take the Gold Fury, Odin support is the best thing you could possibly have. When you can make, and like the cage nerf didn't really hurt. Taking 25 damage away for free, like, if you're putting him in the support role, that sucks, but whatever. So I don't know. I feel like he's still Odin, and it's just going to take a little bit of getting used to.
Yeah. Yeah. Back on Hercules, I love the remodel. I think it's perfect. I don't think the current one that we see in game does justice to the god at all. He's such a well-known demigod that I feel like, what we're seeing now is more on track with the current god releases. And you can see it. Like, if you were to go through the god list and go through each god, you could definitely see the new you can see the gods that follow the current art path that they're going on, and how new and up to date they look, and how polished they look. And then you can look back at some of the original gods, which has a lot of them have gotten reworks. But the ones that haven't gotten like full reworks, you could definitely see where they're, where that's the old art style. And, you know, HiRez is going through, and just like they talked about before they went ahead and launched the game, they said, after we launch the game, we're going to be going back through, doing a lot of remodels. We're going to be polishing off skins, releasing more skins. And that's exactly what they're doing. Like, now it's very much content-based compared to, now granted, we had one heck of a balance change the other week with the Warrior one. But outside of that, a lot of the stuff has just been small tweaks and then art changes, for sure, without a doubt. So I'm excited about the Hercules one. I think it looks good. No complaints at all with the current one. As Hindu Man was saying in chat, and I agree, like, I love the lion right there over his shoulder, kind of like biting through his shoulder type of look. I think that looks really good and kind of follows the lore, if you guys watched the lore video for the release. Now, people have been asking about this, and I did not catch this, so I'm going to consult you guys on it. The randomizer lobby, what is this? Because I did not know anything about it, but I've seen people posting about it.
Right now, when you join a lobby of any kind, when you queue into a lobby, it's matchmaking works off of elo.
Correct.
Like, of some form, in every case. In every game, you basically have a number that's you are this good, and it averages your numbers for a team and then puts against a team with the same average. And ideally, it should be an even match.
And then you're listed in the lobby by who has the most.
Yes.
Yeah. And even in casuals, even casual Conquest, if you're at the top, you have the highest elo, you're statistically the best player on your team.
Okay.
They're planning on getting rid of that, which removes bragging rights from casuals. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like, literally only DM Brandon cares, and he told that.
All right.
But if they remove it from ranked suddenly, if you watch Smite Pro in the morning when Zapman plays, you see something called Morning Ranked. And Morning Ranked is one diamond player, 4 people who've never touched a keyboard before, and 3 lanes. And it is kept in check by the fact that Zapman gets to pick and ban.
Yeah.
But if that goes away, I'm moving to Ukraine because it's safer.
Okay, so I understand correctly, and it has not been specified whether this is the entire game that's going to affect or just casuals.
It has been confirmed by Lionheart the plan is to put it into ranked.
What? That is
so
a disaster. Who decided that? That's such a disaster.
But let me find it.
That's actually... Can I swear?
Hey, I don't
Am
know.
I allowed to swear? Because
I am... okay, Fats, I am just as surprised as you are. Like, casual, completely understand it. I see the value of it, too. The value of it.
That's fine,
because
but rank, that's...
Yeah. Because I see the value of it from a casual perspective where you're then putting people into the top decision-making role that they don't normally get into if they're just starting out or they're not as good of a player, and they get some experience in the picks and bans phase. Makes complete sense. Love it. Casuals, awesome all the way. Ranked, it's like okay, ranked, you need to have some of the better players making these better decisions. And here's my thought too. You thought there was a bunch of BM before? BM's gonna start even before you get into the game, and now it's gonna be even worse in the lobby where people are calling out other people. Hatred is going to start to occur to the point where people are leaving before you even get into the game. Where they're like, wow, four people are complaining to me about the decisions I made on bans. I'm not gonna play this game. I'm gonna leave.
Did you find the tweet?
Yeah, just drop me a permit and I'll link it. But it seems like that's the plan. There's already been a big negative response on Twitter, so hopefully that won't happen.
Yep.
But join in on the negative response and help us make sure that this doesn't come to our ranked games and mess everything up. Because here's the thing, I think the idea of something trickling down is not necessarily the best idea, but in ranked, that's good. Because you're gonna have the high level players who are like, this is OP, this is OP, this is OP, this is OP, and then you're gonna ban out those things so people don't wreck you, and it's gonna change a little bit at levels of play, and you'll be like, well, really low, Thanatos just wrecks everybody, so we'll ban him, and really high, you're gonna come up against Samshu, Ray, or what's his name right now? Kiki, I don't remember what his name is right now. Oh, Miss the Boat. And he's going to play Nuwa, and that's annoying, so you ban Nuwa every game. But that's only at super high elo where you can get these players. You don't need to ban Nuwa everywhere. I don't like it.
Do you think?
Please help us.
Do you think
ranks
this is
Elo
also to help? Now, I'm going out on a limb here and stretching it a little bit. Do you think this is also to kind of hide people's elo a little bit more? And what I mean by that is
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, just because of the fact, like, when you look at it and you're like, oh, you know, I don't know. That's why I'm going out on a limb here. I just don't know if this is to help make it more discreet, because I like the transparency we had at one point. And Cret, you remember this? Fats, I think you were playing then too, where like elo was labeled under your name in games.
I loved it,
and I thought it was the best thing in the world. Why we got rid of it was, I feel like we're starting to hide things because of a larger problem with matchmaking.
Yeah, I don't know. Like when you saw someone's elo under the name, right? It put more worth into the whole respect the elo rule, because it is someone's higher elo than you. Like, let them play what they want. When they have 2 more elo than you, just play whoever can like make the best comp or whatever. You know, I hate when people are like, yeah, exactly. When they have 1,000 more, like, listen to them. They know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And you can still find people's elo on the website. And like when I queue in a game and I don't know anybody, I'm going to check the second highest person's elo and be like, all right, what's the difference here? Because if it's 1,000, I know I have to play something that carries really hard. But
yeah. That's why, like, I feel like I'm going out on a limb, and I'm not trying to be like, oh, they're trying to hide a problem. But part of me is like, okay, people have had issues with the matchmaking system for some time now within ranked, and is this just to hide it even more? Like, all of a sudden, like, because the days when I saw what everyone's elo was, it just made it easier, and 2, I feel like you added more respect to that person. Like, if you saw, wow, I'm playing with Zapman, his elo is 1,000 higher than mine, and he's making banned pick decisions, I'm going to respect that a little bit more and take a little bit more leadership behind that, and maybe there might be a little bit more teamwork behind this team. Whereas when it's completely random and you don't see any elo, you have people, I feel like, 1, it's hiding the underlying issue of matchmaking not being where it should be, and then 2, it's just the larger, and then adding in the randomization to it, it's like, oh my word, like, what are we looking to do here?
Well, the problem with matchmaking isn't matchmaking, it's player pools.
Okay.
So, like, when you look at ranked at, like, 5 p.m.,
okay,
it's really good.
Because of the larger player base, larger population.
You're going to have big boy games, maybe 2. And, you know, once the big boys start to synchronize their queue, it's just going to give you really even games. And when one team loses, it'll switch it up a little bit and whatever. Yeah. It works perfectly. But when Zapman queues at 7 a.m., it takes his high elo, averages it with 4 people who are 200 below the other team that's all 1,500 or whatever. And it creates an average, and it's a little bit messed up, and it puts too much of a burden on Zapman, but or whatever.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. The only problem is that there's also a bit of a double-edged sword. Like, if you're showing everyone's elo, then you're also going to get people that are just going to be jerks because they can see how much elo you have.
And I understand that for sure. And I don't know. I kind of like the transparency. Like, I like that transparency where we were at one point where we saw it. Elo, in regards to, I would like to see elo in ranked. I don't care for casual. Like, you can randomize it, not show elo, that's fine.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter for casual.
But in ranked, I'm like, I want that value. I want that to when you go into ranked, it's one more thing to be proud of. Where, like, you go into rank, you're like, here's my elo, there's a value even more behind it. Whereas you don't really see that much. The only way you actually see, like, a reward or achievement type of portion is maybe by some of the icons that you see at the loading screen. But outside of that, you're not really seeing a lot to be like, oh, and I'm going to use Zapman again just as an example we're talking about. I'm like, oh, I jump into the lobby and we're making picks and bans and there's Zapman's elo. Maybe he has a few symbols next to his name showing where he placed previous seasons, so I can have more respect. You almost like a general in the military where you have your badges and stuff like that. I don't know what they're called. I'm sorry for those in the military.
Just give Zapman a badge for every lane.
Like those. What is it called? And I apologize. In the military,
medals,
like medals and stuff like that. And what are the little square colors and stuff like that right over like your heart and stuff that shows like your rank. Anyways, that would be really cool to see next to someone's name for all their achievements within ranked. Like, I'd be thrilled about that because then you jump in and you're like, dang, I'm playing with Fats right now. You see that? Like, he's really, really good. Look at all that compared to just keeping everything hidden and not seeing anything. What do you think, Fats? You haven't really weighed in much on it, on matchmaking and stuff like that. You've been kind of quiet over there.
It changing the lobbies and ranked is awful.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only thing I can say.
Yeah, it doesn't affect
Because-
casuals.
It doesn't matter in casuals at all because you don't have to ban anything. The fact that it changes the idea of what you're supposed to ban. Let's say I get into a ranked game
Okay.
with
Oh shit.
exactly, and I'm top elo, and under me is Lassus and Anatoly
Yeah.
and Allied, and then Kret because you know Kret's bad, but he deserves to be under there anyway. But like I'm supposed to ban and pick when I have 3 people who play the game at a way higher level than me,
Yeah.
and Kret's there too. But like I don't know what to do. I'll just ban things I suck against.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Raw. That's a good ban though.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Aphrodite. It's a good ban though. I hate looking at Al Kwong. I'm gonna ban him. That's the idea of a casual going into ranked.
Yeah.
And with how matchmaking works right now, you get those first timers a lot.
Mm-hmm. What
And
do you?
those first timers ban who they don't like playing against.
Yeah.
So if that's how it's gonna be an awful time for ranked players, for professional players, for the game's health, and for matchmaking even worse.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, maybe we'll
Put it
see.
in casuals, it's fine. Put it in ranked, that's awful. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm surprised we didn't see something like this put in, like, with a few other things into, like, the public test servers, and then have the community play it and throw out a survey and get your opinion on it. Because I feel like this affects the game so much where I'd love to see a survey about it, like they've been doing. Like, I would like to see HiRez move in a direction where they're using that survey feature that they have through their email a little bit more. And use the public test servers a little bit more. Like, we don't need a patch every week with content and changes every week. Like, I'd rather see things in the public test server every week and community question and stuff like that to kind of find out what the community is looking for. But I also know sometimes HiRez makes decisions based on what they feel is best for the community, and sometimes it backfires. So we'll see what happens with this one. We'll see what happens for sure. Any last comments on the randomized lobby?
HiRez, please.
All right, for sure. And we have a little bit of time today, as there wasn't a patch or really anything. We were just kind of going over the spoils. So I'm going to go ahead and post a link in chat, and we'll take some community questions. We haven't really done that in a few weeks now, just because of some of the shows have gone super long, just regarding patches like the Warrior patch and stuff like that. So we're going to go ahead and... What's that?
Yeah, it's a long one.
Yeah.
That was a long patch.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and post the link in chat. It's ask.fm/the Smite update. And go ahead, go there, ask your question, and we'll go ahead and pick 3 questions from that entire list that we want to go ahead and talk about on stream. And we'll definitely go and check that out. Both of you guys, Kret, you still have access to the doc that I shared?
Yeah.
Okay. The credentials are on there. I just want to make sure you have the access to them. So if you go there,
Don't worry, I got it.
you got it. That's right. Good deal.
I'm ready.
So I'll wait for you guys to post some questions. We have a minute or two. Let's see. In the meantime, I'm just going to go ahead and throw out, let's see here. We'll throw out a gem. Let's throw out a few gem codes in chat to you fine people. While we wait, we'll go ahead and get that. So let me get a few of those codes together real quick. We'll give out 3. These are 3 200 gem codes. So 3 200 gem codes. Best of luck to chat. Make sure you guys load up Smite. Have it ready. I'll give you like a few seconds, and we're waiting, looking for questions for you guys on the ask.fm/the Smite update. The link that is in there in chat, as we talked about there. Let's get some good questions for sure. Let's go ahead and post those gems. Enjoy the gems there. They're kind of, there's a space. Didn't really do justice the way I really wanted it to. They were on separate lines, but there are 3 gem codes right there in chat for you guys. And Kret, I'm going to throw it to you first. So if you want to browse through real quick, find a question that you're liking, we'll go from there.
It doesn't seem to have updated for me.
Just hit just refresh the page. Last time I looked, we're at like 31 questions right now.
It doesn't seem to be updating. I'm gonna have to log out and log back in.
Okay.
So
Fats, you see any yet?
I didn't even log in yet.
Oh, man, look what I'm dealing with here, people. Look what I'm dealing with.
I'm lazy.
How do you redeem gem codes? What you do is you go into Smite, you go to the store, you go to redeem code, and you put the code in there, and then you click the little enter button, and if it's still available, it'll redeem it. If not, it won't work. But pretty much the first person that gets it.
All right, we're Gucci.
Okay, good. So look through. I'm going to look through now. We'll take a minute here and go ahead and pick some questions. So let's see.
I got one.
Okay.
I got one. Do you think if Yanis' 2 Proctus passives and his passive effect is auto attacks, could he be a viable auto attack mage? Maybe this is a fix to his kit. Yanis is fine. He's probably a little OP. He is not unreliable. He's just difficult. And the same thing happened with Scylla.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, originally.
Like, have you ever been hit by Yanis who's ahead with a 1 and then a double tap?
Whoop,
It's all your health. Don't buff this god, because let me tell you, there will be players like Sayo, and there will be people that, like Syphos, for example, he's got like rank 10 Zeus or whatever, rank 10 Chronos.
Yeah.
They're just going to get really good at this god. You can't buff him. You can't buff his damage. And people have been like, all right, you got to lower, and this really makes me mad. I'm a mad person. Lower the cast time on his ultimate, lower the CC, or give him CC immunity.
I agree.
That sounds really good, right?
Yep.
Here's the problem.
Okay.
You get ganked in mid, you turn towards a wall, and you cast your ult. And if it's not a 1.5 second cast time that's interruptible,
Yeah.
you're ungankable.
Mm-hmm.
You can't buff it like that, because you would just never be able to kill Yanis. Any situation that happens, he'd ult out.
He just do like beads.
people
He
just-
did like beads and then alt in order to be. Yeah. I can see that.
Even right now, it's probably too strong. Like, Ymir comes in, beads, ult, you're gone.
Yeah,
Or
but
a
dude,
portal through a wall, and then you're gone.
this is something.
And, like,
Yeah. Go ahead. I'll chime in next.
so there are holes. You know, it's not flawless, but like it's already probably really strong. The ult doesn't need CC immunity. It doesn't need to be a faster cast, because people need to realize that it's not a ultimate that you use in the middle of a team fight. It's just not. You use it to rotate to a team fight.
Yep.
Use it to clean up with a snipe, or it's like World Weaver. You don't use World Weaver when you're fighting people. You're wasting time, wasting damage. Like, maybe you get a stun off, maybe you get like the Snap World Weaver to interrupt something, but most of the time, it's not how you use that ability. So,
We
yeah,
were, we were kind of talking about Janus last week with Hindu Man and F. Dot, and we were discussing the one thing I was pushing was like I'd love to see a Janus more of a support utility type of mage where he's at now, where a little less damage but a little bit more support utility in regards to, you know, the portal's very effective for within team fights. Same thing with his third ability too. His ultimate's great for re-engaging into a lane, even if you want to try to gank a lane from one side to another. Like, I'm seeing a lot of people use Janus in like a siege scenario because it's so nice to jump between lanes so quickly to be effective. But then there's other people that are like, no, I don't want to see him go the route of like an Aphrodite where it's very support, very utility based, and I want to see Janus be more like up to par with like Poseidon. And I don't know. What are your thoughts there, like Fats, on Janus? You weren't here. You weren't available. You know, what were your thoughts with Janus? Just where he's at now, stuff like that, where he fits in with the other mages.
He's hard to play, and I'm glad he's hard to play. He does a lot of damage, and he's hard to play.
Yeah.
And that's how he should be.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to it.
The other thing is people don't realize the threshold passive, the move speed buff, 30% stacks twice.
Yeah.
Like,
good.
you can use your 1 on the floor. It basically acts as like a Moonlit Waltz kind of thing, where it's, you know, you could dodge an ability with it. You dodge a Ymir, I'll dodge an Alquang, I'll time it right. Then you run 30% faster. Then you drop a threshold. People behind you are slow. You run 60% faster.
Yeah.
God's crazy.
He's just really hard to play. I'm terrible at him.
I'm happy that he's hard to play. Like, I want to see more and more gods where, like, he's very much a skill-based god. He's not just pick up and play and you're good to go. Like, I'm gonna compare it. I guess I compare it like Ra. Like Ra, I feel like anybody, even new players, could pick up and play. Now, granted, his snipe does take some skill with timing and learning that, and yeah, it comes down to your server ping and all that stuff. But like when new players ask me, who should I play first? Who should I learn? I'm like, Ra.
I always say Raw.
Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
perfect because his abilities are easy to follow, easy to understand. They're not super combo based either.
And
Like-
he's good.
Yes, he is. He's super good at solo lane. Like, I'm like, yeah, go with it. So, all right. Any other comments there on Giannis?
The other thing is people need to realize the difference between difficult and unreliable. Like, for example, Hercules Boulder is unreliable because it will do something weird and sometimes won't do damage, flies over their head, bounces off a wall, and goes backwards. Sometimes it does 9,000 damage and kills everyone. Hercules' Earthbreaker isn't unreliable, it's just hard. And Yanis is in the same... Like, Yanis' 2 is weird, but it's fast. And
It is.
those projectiles are big.
I love it. I love it. People hate it. They're like, oh no, I want to see it in a straight line. I'm like, no, I love this ability. It's so
Yeah.
unpredictable. That's why I love it.
I just wish
Well,
when it first
yeah.
came out, it was like together, and then broke apart.
Yeah.
Like,
It
right at the
is,
start-
but it's like it is, but it's really close to you.
You don't have to be like hugging them for it to
Right,
actually do it.
right. But if it wasn't, like the character would be so OP, because you could just
Yeah,
like
no.
shock
I
at
just want it
everyone.
to be broken. Like, leave me alone.
Yeah, you just gotta get used to like the first intersection. Once you can reliably hit people at the first intersection, that's when it starts.
Giannis's
really nice.
second ability reminds me of dodgeball. Dodge, duck, and
Yeah.
weave. That's pretty much what it
Yeah.
is.
I think the best thing about dodging Yanis' stuff is if you stand in a certain area, it'll just go in front of you and then curve out and go behind you, and you can just stand there
Yeah.
and taunt right when it happens. And it's the
Yeah.
funniest thing in the world.
Yeah.
But like in a team fight, you're not thinking about that. You're just like, it's coming at me. I gotta move, and then it hits you because you
Yeah,
ran.
you
into
always move into it. That's why
Oh,
it's
man.
so funny.
Hmm.
Like, I've
Yeah.
tried to dodge it on multiple occasions. Like, oh, you're not going to hit. Never mind. I hit. I died. Rip me.
So, off that
One
subject,
thing that makes,
we were
one
kind
thing
of...
that makes it kind
Go
of
ahead.
hard is just the when you try and place a portal on the ground behind a wall and you realize you can't do it.
it gets me every time.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
It's the worst. That's my only thing.
Yeah. Something I saw on the questions, and I don't know if it's true or not, but somebody had said it was Bloody Tech actually disbanded, is what they're saying. And if that's the case, I'm actually kind of sad to see that, because they've been doing really good and making a name for themselves over the past few weeks. Like, kind of surprised we saw them disband so quickly, especially with qualifiers and everything like that. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
them doing it now makes sense because the hard roster lock is happening next week.
Yeah, but how does that work, though, with your point-wise? Like, all of a sudden, if they didn't move on to teams that are in the top 5, I
Okay,
don't-
so
where are they
If
at
they
right now
disbanded
anyways?
and they have a majority, if the majority of that roster stays together,
Which would
like
have
if
to
they
be
only
3.
kicked off 2 people,
Yeah.
then they would still have Bloody Tech's stuff.
well, the thing is, so there's a team, Cluelessness, Clueless Resi, Clueless
Yeah.
Moex, featuring Dormod, Dover, Fexes. That's Bloody Tech.
Hmm.
That will contain the seed points. They've got 3 of the 5 players. It's just a sponsor change or a sponsor drop.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying
So-
in chat, and I don't know how reliable that is, but yeah, I mean,
That's what it looks like. If
Yeah.
you look up Team Cluelessness, it's got Bloody Tech's roster. They're not called Bloody Tech, but that's all of them.
Okay.
So,
Okay. I mean, I'm
That's
happy.
it.
I'm so happy about that. Like, because they're 5th right now in the EU scene, very,
Yeah.
very close to grabbing that 4th place slot, which is awesome. If they could go ahead and grab that from I5, I love I5. I'm just saying, they do have an opportunity to go ahead and clinch that 4th place position, which is super important. Guido25 is saying they'll announce the new sponsor this week. Well, hopefully it's a big sponsor.
awesome.
That would be awesome if it's like a big sponsor for sure. Like,
yeah.
hoping we're seeing a new esports organization coming into
Here's
the
a
scene.
question from here. Fats, can you give reasoning for 5v5 Siege from a non-casual standpoint? No.
Non-casual. Okay.
But I
shouldn't
can.
have
What's up?
I shouldn't have to.
It's not your job.
Fred will tell you in a second, but I shouldn't have to give you a reason outside of let's
You know
have
what?
fun with the
Let me
video
tell
game.
you. Let me tell you how
But
you can
Fred, go
hear
ahead and tell them your
hear the
story.
information on 5v5 Siege. Go over to iTunes and you watch the audio recording of the show because we talked about it already.
That's right.
It'll make Optane really happy. Without plugging iTunes
Give
right
it
now.
5 stars.
That's right.
Yeah.
You guys sound just like me. I'm so proud. I've molded you so well. That's right.
That's
Please
awful.
don't say that.
Let's see. Let's pick a few
Find
more.
another question.
Let's pick a few more questions. Let's cruise through. We'll just kind of spit them out there. Let's see. We talked a lot about Siege earlier.
How do you think HiRez should decide between 4v4 Siege and 5v5 Siege, since the community is so
Put in
even?
5v5.
Don't even decide. Just do it.
Simple as that. Put in 5v5 and let 4v4 customs happen, which can already happen.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, right now as a streamer, I have to make 5v5 customs, which means everybody's going to be a super tryhard and pick things that they know are going to kill me, because I'm going to make it blind picks so you have fun, and they're just going to pick Bastet, Aphrodite, Poseidon, Scylla, who cares?
Yeah. I feel like
Bots, bam.
I feel like Siege would have been a great example. Now, did Siege go through public test servers and we played it there, or no? It was just pushed.
It did, yeah, it did.
It did?
I had a lot of fun that night.
I feel like... Oh, that's right. Yes, I remember that. I'm sorry. Yeah, it would have been nice to have it tested a little bit longer with the 4v4 versus 5v5 in the public test servers before you just threw it live. Because I feel like map adjustments could have been made there. Your player sizes could have been made there. Stuff like that. I feel like, once again, I'm going to push it. Use the public test servers more. That's why they're there. We're a live environment now. Let's use them. Now, granted, I understand your population is hit or miss. I understand.
Yeah.
Still.
I mean, that's the only problem is that you can't put everything in the PTS and expect people to play it.
Understandable. You can't do that because there's no surprises, there's no hype behind it, stuff like that. But like,
well, and it's also just like, let's test a patch where Onher's pillar lost 3% of the slow, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, no one will be able to give you good feedback on that.
Yeah. So maybe just a thought. If they want to use PTS a little bit more and they're not reaching their numbers, kind of like what they talked about before, like rewarding people for helping to test stuff in the public test servers. That'd be kind of nice. You know, hey, you spent X amount of hours in the public test servers this past week. You met this goal. Here's 100 gems, or something. You know what I mean? Like something like that. That'd be kind of nice. A little bit more reward system there. Be kind of convenient. What other questions we see in here?
Let's talk about Snipe.
All right.
Big
Yeah,
deal,
apparently
actually.
people are really scared about Snipe.
So what happened with Snipe? First of all, roster lock happens next week.
Yay!
So
well, okay, for people that don't know what that is, go for it.
Yeah, so for people who don't know what that is, basically it's hard roster locking for the upcoming LAN events after this qualification season. Basically, it means that once you play on a team, you cannot play on any other team starting next week. So if Fats plays for Snipe, he can't then get picked up by Dignitas. He's locked into Snipe. So make your choices very carefully, Fats. Choose a good team.
I think I'm gonna go play
Evil Geniuses.
EG would be hype.
Yeah,
Yes.
baller.
EG would be super hype.
So Snipe, they were trying out Miss the Boat for solo lane without telling Wolfie. And that happened before when they put Ozymandias on the roster. And he said, like, don't do that again. He actually ended up rejoining the team because they were scared they weren't going to qualify or something like that.
Okay, that makes sense.
And I might be getting some of the details wrong here, but they should be fairly accurate. And basically, he was like, "This sucks. You can't do this to me again." And he just left. He's like, "I'm not going to stand for this," which is, that's the correct decision on his part, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They're also trying out Astro Squared in mid. Jerby doesn't seem fazed by it, and I think understandably so. I think Jerby's a level above Astro.
Yeah. Do you think this is the time though to be testing the waters with different people?
I think Snipe's getting desperate, and they need third party analysis. They need someone to be like, listen, your problem isn't your roster. Your problem is this and this and this. Yeah. And because like the player, like Snipe's roster sounds fine. Like out on ADC. Sounded fine. Out on ADC, maybe not the strongest ADC in North America, but he'll be fine. Incon, great support. I mean, when you're talking about the top three supports, it's like Jeff, Shadow, Incon, and you have to argue about the order, and they're not that far apart.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Really close.
Jerby has been doing well. Shing is frickin' Shing. And Wolfie is a very intimidating solo laner. I mean, so
Could you think it might have been due to the Warrior patch that they decided to do this? Because
no.
most people are under the impression that Wolfie's God pool is very limited. It's not as expansive as Omega's, but it's not as small as mine.
Right. Maybe, but I think Divios took the same hit. He's doing fine. I think Anatoly has the same limited god pool. He just kind of got lucky that his mages didn't get nerfed. Because Anatoly is like raw, and then his weird counter picks is like my impression of his god pool.
Pretty much.
It's like raw, Afro is banned, you can't pick her,
Habwa.
and then like it's
Raw,
like
Habwa,
Habwa
and
time, Baka time, and Ares time. I don't think counter picks is a good excuse to trying to replace Wolfie. Now, granted, Kiki does have an immense god pool, but he I don't know. It's just a different playstyle. Either way, I don't think the players are the problem.
Do you think that Snipe should be picking up someone like a Zimstar in regards to a high-level player that is more in a coaching situation for them? Because I feel like if Snipe is looking at that, like, oh, like, we need to be reviewing things more and stuff like that, that's not, as you said, it's not really a player problem. It's one, it could be egos, it could be just bringing on a coach that allows them to review things and is able to say, Shing, listen, you're doing XYZ wrong, and no one can go, because it's very much one of those things where, like, as a professional player, you know, you do not like being called out on things, but if you have somebody who's kind of your, like, third party there being like a coach style, which more and more teams should do, please do it. I think it's so valuable. Picking up someone like a Zimstar who, one, can be a sub when extremely necessary, but two, has and knows that high level of play where he could go to his team like Team Solo Mid and go, listen, here's a problem. We need to fix it. How are we going to do it? And there's no egos get the best of them.
Yes, that would be great for Snipe and Dig and probably Cog and Game Changers and like everyone.
Yep.
But without a really strong organization like TSM, and also it's going to be hard. And also, who do you find that can do that role?
There's a guy right here
whose
to my
respect
in purple right here that would be perfect for that analytical role.
Yo, so hit me up. I don't charge that much money.
Perfect.
But you need someone who you can respect and who can be like, listen, Shang, you made this mistake.
Yep.
And their opinion has to be good. And that's rare. Yeah. Like, when you look at other esports, like StarCraft, some of the best coaches are ex-pro players who couldn't make it because, you know, they didn't
have high enough
couldn't take their own advice.
Yes.
They couldn't take their or the APM, but mostly I want to say they couldn't take their own advice, or their APM fell off because of age or whatever.
No, I think that is completely accurate. Like, I see so much value in that. And you talk about like StarCraft 2. That's where I came from. That's the scene I came from, where you had literally some teams were so big they not only had coaches, they had personal trainers with these guys and stuff like that. Like, that's how. Now, granted, we're not there yet as an esport, and I understand that, but at this point in the scene, these teams can bring on coaches that will work for like pennies and peanuts in order for, one, the recognition, two, to support the name, and three, to better a team. And as the team grows, so does the coach. And you know, I just think it's, you can't put a number on that. Like, you really can't. If you're just a group of 5 guys, like, you need to have someone out there. So if any pro players are watching, or like aspiring amateurs, please try to find a third-party coach like to come in and do this type of stuff, because I think it's so important.
Yeah, and I would love to see coaches. I mean, let's be honest. Zimstar is a big factor to why TSM took the launch tournament.
Oh yeah,
like, he was huge.
And then look at Matty Pocket, as like chat was talking about too.
Yeah,
like
where did TSM get Zimstar from? I have no idea. Like, I actually am really curious, but you know, coaches would be great. They help a lot because it's so much easier, unless you have like a really specific team dynamic of like basically a dictatorship.
Yeah.
It's very hard to have players be like, listen, I think you made this mistake. And then it's like, and I'm better than you is tacked on the end.
Oh, Fats, what do you think? You're quiet. What do you think of just kind of the whole thing about coaches and stuff like that?
Fats, you're quiet.
I'm going to call you out on it. You're not allowed to be sick on my show. What do you got? Our show.
Achoo, cough, cough, I'm dying. Coaching is something that I've seen in other games. I come to the Smash Brothers community.
Yeah, that's right.
We had a big thing about coaching and talking with your coach during a match. During a match, I mean, just going back to what I'm saying, like Smash Bros, not a cool thing. Between matches to review how you played and things like that, that's fine. That's perfect.
Yeah.
In Smite, having that person who's able to watch and see exactly how you're playing, they can see your mistakes better than you can see them because you're in that mode where it's like, okay, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. I have to keep track of all these things, whereas the coach is from a distance watching how you're playing against your opponent and pointing out the mistakes you've made in relation to the strengths that your opponents have over you. Coaching in esports is as strong as coaching in regular sports.
What are your I know, and I don't recall the rule behind this, Fats. Maybe you remember. Do you remember the rule at the launch tournament regarding coaches? And I don't think you could have coaches on stage or communicating with you during a match, correct?
No, you couldn't. That's how it should be.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and that's what I was just wanting to. I couldn't remember, and I see the value in it. I feel like I see the value in it during the picks and bans stage, but after that, once the match starts, I feel like it's all players, no coaches involved. If it gets to that point where like the decision needs to be made, or do you not like it in the picks and bans stage? Being able to consult a coach.
No.
I feel like a coach who needs to do picks and bans for his team isn't doing their job properly.
That's true. That's true because they need
that
to.
That means he's playing instead of coaching.
Yeah. So it really comes down to. That's a good point. That's actually a really good point.
The coach should watch over and help his team develop their play style and their mentalities so that they can go into picks and bans as a team and know what to do.
Well, and they also need, you need a shot caller, you need a tactician, you need someone who is playing StarCraft while everyone else is playing Smite, right? You need that tactics at the highest level of play.
That's why I like.
And it's part of the coach's, it's part of the coach's job to foster that. Like it's super important. So.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, coaches in picks and bans, like maybe in scrims, sure. Like, all right, I want you to try this. Fine. Yeah. That's team to team, it's different. But in tournaments, no, it's not their job.
I just feel like if you're really a serious team, picking up a coach where a coach literally is reviewing things as a team overall and pointing out mistakes, and then sitting down with a player for an hour a week and going over VODs and stuff like that, I feel like that's like invaluable. Like going over VODs and being like, okay, this is what you were doing here. What were you thinking? What was behind this? Why did you do this versus this? And stuff like that. I feel like it's important. Like. That's exactly what pro teams do in football and stuff like that. Like, they completely meet one-on-one and stuff, so I don't know. I just think it's important. Let's look for one or two more questions here that we see from chat. We kind of got off track, but it was good. Oops. That's all. I feel like that's all Smite Update is. It's just like
I've got a short one.
Go for it.
I've got a short one. What happened to Team Coast? Did they disband?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
what was
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, did they just? What was the last tournament they were in? I was gonna say bring up the.
It's been a while. Spoo is still on the Team Coast roster. Okay. He scrimmed. He hasn't been online since last month. Yep, they disbanded.
Okay, I'm looking.
Moving on.
You're so quick to judge. All right.
Coast is toast.
Coast is toast. Oh my word. All right, the last tournament they played in was Week 3 qualifiers, which was on May 18th. So almost a month, a little less. That was the last one, and they faced off against SK, and they lost to SK in round 2. So, okay. Sorry to hear they disbanded. That kind of sucks. All right. What other questions we got here? Let's try to grab another one here. How did it fix why did the PSU was affected by that public? Let's see. Trying to find something here. You got Fat? You see anything good?
Here's one.
Okay, got one. Go for it.
How much do you think pro players influence Smite meta? Countless times I see people picking out their picks in my league games because a pro did it, or they go with this build that is not supportive to the game at hand because a pro did it.
All right, I'm going to comment real quick first. Just a quick little thing that I know Cret and Fats have it on there. Just because Lassus has played Athena and can do it in jungle does not mean that any level of player can do it. That's all I want to say.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically it. You got people on your team who don't understand that they're not on Dignitas. And maybe, and this is really unfortunate, right? Like, when Anatoly picks Ares in a competitive environment, which we've seen him do twice, he's doing it because it's really good against tier, and he knows how to win that matchup. And he builds a Mark of the Vanguard. It's the only time you're going to see Mark of the Vanguard in competitive Smite to this date, this year, is because it substantially reduces the amount of damage you take from minions. So he can fight you, take less damage from minions, win the fight because it does more damage, and tier doesn't do anything without his Fearless. That's what tier is for. That's why Anatoly plays tier. Ares solo not actually good in other situations.
Well, like,
or this patch because tier is dead in solo.
Well, that's like with the whole Athena thing too. Like, the thing that bothers me is, okay, you're taking Athena, which is very much your traditional support god, dual lane, and you're putting Athena in a role that she is not made for. And then you're going ahead and using her effectively, like, or failing doing it. I just feel like players don't realize that, like, a high-level player like Lassus doing this with Athena, or other players doing this with Athena that are high-level players, they understand the god, they understand jungling, and they understand the mechanics of that god and how that god is being used in a non-traditional manner. You give that to a player who isn't even level 30 yet and is just doing it because, oh, you know, I saw it and I want to do it. It just, drives me nuts to see it. Because the best comment I get back is, well, Lassus do it, that's why I'm doing it. It's the new meta. It's like, no, it's not the new meta.
Just because you've seen somebody do something really stupid doesn't mean you should copy it.
But,
hey, Fats ran through traffic. I might as well do it too.
It's only because Fats is good at that.
He didn't die. What makes you think I'm gonna die?
Well, Fats plays a lot of Frogger, so
that's right. So high level of play, you know, very experienced.
It's simple as that. Like something like that. Like, hey, Cret made a lot of money doing this. Why can't I? Well, Cret knows numbers, and you can't even add.
I can't even add. But...
Shut up, Cret. You can add. Shut up.
1 + 1
lying.
is still 3.
Like, it's simple as that. Simple as that. People just like to do what they see working. Pretty much, like, Bakasur solo, people have built the craziest, dumbest things ever.
Yeah.
Because they've seen Zalia or Anatoly or me or somebody else play Bakasur solo, and they just build things that look attractive. Heartseeker looks cute. Won't get you a kill because you don't have Haste Fatalis, but it's cute.
You know, the worst one with that is like, oh, I see so-and-so pro player using Heartseeker, so that's why I have it. When you're like 0-7 and you're like 10 minutes in, it's like, are you kidding me? You should have sold this long ago.
The other thing is, pro teams don't always make the best decisions or the right decisions. They make the decisions that suit them. Yes. Dignitas doesn't buy Divine Ruin, like, at all, from what I've seen. They'll just get a Weakening Curse, be like, that's enough anti-heal for us. We'll just play past it. And that is a debatable decision, but, like, it's fine. It works for them.
Yeah.
You should still buy Divine Ruin. You should. Because you're not Dignitas, and you don't know how to just slide by an Awakening Curse.
On that note, we get questions like this. What do you think about Ymir Jungle?
I love Ymir Jungle. Ymir Jungle is awesome.
Broken.
Stop saying this!
So
we're going to have
good.
1 million people playing Ymir Jungle next week, and everyone raging and being like, you're playing Ymir Jungle, what are you doing? Like,
Ymir Jungle does a lot of damage.
I hate you guys. I don't want to see
it.
Oh, okay, here's a quick one. Thoughts on Nanton? Nanton is awesome.
Nanton?
I like his music.
Yeah?
He's chill.
It is chill, dude.
Chill, dude. Alright, let's see here.
I watched the stream once.
So here's an interesting one, and I don't know. I guess the only way to combat this is one situation. But someone's like, "Do you think they'll ever release Australian servers? Because I can't hit basics with ADCs because of server delay." And I guess, I mean, there's going to be a lot of that out there right now because when you look at it, there are not that many locations for servers right now, worldwide, even North America. There are not that many. So, like, I'm just trying to think. The only way you're going to see this corrected, and this can go for any country, is just the expansion of Smite. And we're already seeing it. How long ago was it when they did the Tencent announcement? Like a year ago? Maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, less than that. And now, I think it was less than a year ago. I don't remember exactly. And now we're having Latin America. So we're starting to see Hi-Rez partner with local publishers in order to expand Smite worldwide. And they're doing it rather well. You know, we're not even a year into the game being launched. And so Hi-Rez is already partnered with 2 organizations. So the only way I think that like you can combat in this issue is just, unfortunately, waiting it out till you get a localized server to your country.
Yep.
There's no other way around it, and it's a shame. And I'm sorry that you have to play with horrible ping and issues hitting skill shots and even basic attacks too. Like, I am not in a situation. I'm on the East Coast, so I get good ping. But I can imagine there's quite a bit of rage out there because of that.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Nothing you can do about it. All right, let's take one more question. Fats, you got to pick the question. One more question.
All right, let me look. Refresh real quick.
Yep, take your time. Take your time. Oh, my word. So somebody on Twitter while we wait says, this is what Octane reminds me of when he joined at Smite Game Update Show today. And it's a picture of Waldo. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it, you know.
That's a Waldo shirt, bro.
My wife bought me this shirt. Thank you.
She couldn't
Waldo.
find you.
That's right.
She needs to keep track of you.
Apparently. I just need the glasses now, a little hat. I'll be good to go. You know, I thought she bought it for me because I was sweet like a candy cane, but, you know. All right.
Nah.
All right. We'll go with it.
Yourself, Octane. We know that.
I hate you all. All right, let's see.
I'm looking at super deep, but I can't find much new. Let's see. I don't see much that's like gonna
Nothing good?
incite a good discussion.
Okay.
I mean, outside of the here's one.
Okay.
I'll just go with this one since this one I saw earlier. Why is Arena just casual? I've played games like World of Warcraft and love the PvP aspect, and this is the only MOBA I've ever liked. I feel Arena really hits close to home with the feeling of it being skill versus skill. Will we ever see Arena become ranked again? Sadly, Arena ranked gets less players. I think it was 1% of Conquest League players.
Mm-hmm.
Comparing them, it was you get a 1% of Conquest League, which is already a small percentage of.
It's like 1% of the community or something like that.
Yeah, so it's 1% of 1%.
That we're playing
So 10
ranked.
people.
Yeah, 10 people.
For Arena, yeah.
So sadly, Arena is casual because there is no real.
Hi-Rez Chris in
Thanks.
chat. Probably no. He's like, no.
No, that's
Well,
it. No more.
Thanks, Chris. I think what it comes down to is when you watch the Arena Cup, you get some really dynamic, interesting games, and then you get some of the teams that really know Arena, and they know how to manipulate the system and the wave farming, and they will just sit back at their base and win through last hits.
Yep.
And you're just like, what is this? So Arena can be really fun as a way for 5 dudes to fight 5 other dudes. And it can also be really slow and not that. It can also be very much the opposite of that when you see super high-level Arena. Because it's all about tickets.
I feel like Arena is definitely and there are going to be some people that are mad that take Arena very seriously, but I feel very much so that Arena is very much the casual portion of this game. And what I mean by that is, like, I used to play World of Warcraft back in the day. 1% of the people that played World of Warcraft were the hardcore raiders. The 99% was the casuals, and I feel like the situation here is very much so. Like, I know a ton of people that play Smite very casually, and their favorite game mode is Arena. I think there's a ton of people that play Arena. But I think it's also very hard to go ahead and make it ranked and make it competitive and then try to balance it, kind of like what these guys are saying. It's hard to balance gods directly off of something like Arena. When you're trying, you have to balance it off of one game mode, and it very much so is Conquest right now. And it'll always be Conquest because that's the traditional MOBA competitive game mode. You can't go ahead and try to balance it off of Arena, which is completely team fight based, versus something like Conquest, which you don't see team fights are here and there, but a lot of the time is laning, your laning phase, and then you also have, solo lanes and jungling, and you can't balance it off of everything. So that's why I don't think Arena has made that push to competitive. Ranked, hey, if the player pool is large enough and HiRez sees a large enough player pool and wants to test out ranked Arena again, sure. But people got to play it. If you don't play it, they're going to get rid of it, just like they did.
Yeah, that's basically what it comes down to. I like Arena at times, but it's probably the second least balanced game mode, followed by 1v1. Simply by pure nature of it. And there's not much you do. And, there are times where I think HiRez has made balanced decisions that affect certain game modes, non-Conquest game modes, more than Conquest, and that's fine. When you have a balance change for Chang'e, doesn't affect Conquest. She's not played. Okay. But it will affect 3v3, and that's fine. But, yeah, you can't balance around Arena. You don't see Ares nerfs or Zeus nerfs. Because, Zeus is still great in Arena. Conquest, he's a little bit weaker. But, man, I miss Zeus's stun.
I'm so glad it's gone. I'm so glad it's gone.
I don't know. I felt like Zeus needed the change that Najah's Universe Ring Toss got, where it does less damage on subsequent hits or something like that.
Yeah.
But either way, there are always going to be the strong picks, and it's how the meta evolves to deal with them. Do you get a counter matchup like we had last patch with Poseidon versus Scylla? Mm-hmm. Or is it just like, no, you're just going to ban the Zeus, ban the Zhang Kui? Yeah. And that's how that happens.
Yeah, that's very true. What do you think about Fast? What do you think about Zeus and stuns?
Zeus is dumb.
Yeah. He's still dumb. Have you been hit by a Zeus recently?
Zeus is that's what I mean. Hurts. He's still dumb. Alright, the fact that he doesn't get a stun doesn't make him the easiest thing in the world to play, because chain lightning.
Yeah.
Did it hit you twice? Auto attack. You're stunned. Here's 2 more stacks. Oh, you're hitting me back. Here's my Aegis stun. Now it's just you're slowed. You're going slower, and I can hit you more.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to instantly kill you, but I will still do a ton of damage with 1 detonate.
Well, people didn't actually realize, and this is really funny to me, people didn't realize you could do auto attack, chain lightning, auto attack. And because the way you cancel it out. And
people don't know about canceling. It's weird.
People don't know about canceling. People didn't do that on Zeus. Zeus was stronger than people thought. And yet, but yeah, strong character. Probably still strong. Mm-hmm. Just hard to implement. Hard to play.
Sure. So we got HiRez Chris here. Went ahead, this is joining us. How's it going, Chris?
Hello. Do you hear me?
We hear you just fine.
Oh, no,
Hi, Chris.
Awesome. Hey, guys.
Hey, so Chris, what's your title at HiRez?
I am now the Smite producer. I used to be the lead programmer.
Oh, very cool.
Congratulations.
So you watch Smite Update here and there. I see you hanging out in chat.
Yeah.
What do you want to chime in on? I know you've been hanging out, dwelling in chat right now.
Well, I missed most of the conversation. I did. Okay. I was playing a ranked game, and I heard you guys talking about the PTS.
Yeah.
This patch is actually the last patch we won't be going to PTS on.
Really?
And there was some time-critical things that we had to get into the patch, so it required us to do a shortened version of it.
Okay. So you're hoping in the future, moving forward, just kind of the game plan at this point is to kind of, take the use of that PTS server and actually use it to its full potential. Then, is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah. The PT, we'll have a very fixed schedule. We'll be skipping a week, and then we will do a week where we're packaging up the code and the game and deploying it to PTS on Friday. Patch notes will be released on Friday, and then the following week it'll be Tuesday.
Wow. So you're going to give us plenty to talk about now, week in and week out, now that the update's going to fall right in between that.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. You'll have two days on PTS, and you guys can talk about it on Sunday.
Man, you guys did that just for the Smite update. That is so great.
We did.
How nice of you.
We did, actually.
Just for me, though, because I'm a favorite.
That's right. Just for Fats, for sure.
That's right. I also heard some rumblings about our proposal to randomize the ranked sorting.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
You're here.
So
Don't do it.
So here's our perspective on that. The majority of matches, and the only matches that fall outside of this is the very highest of ranked matches, where you have a Zapman or potentially Lassus or just Ray. Those guys are somewhat outside the bounds of normal. So when the queue launches after 8 minutes, potentially they're going to get into a match that they are 30, 40, 50 points higher than the next person in the list.
Okay.
But the majority of the matches, and I'm talking like 98 to 99% of the matches being launched, are what we consider 25 points is just not even, there's no difference in skill between players. And the majority matches are, the players within one side are within 20 to 100 points. And I think, at least what we see, there's the person at the highest elo range thinks they're like 1,000 times better than the lowest ranked person on the match, and that's just not true. I mean, the different, those players are actually very, very close. With the thing, when we do rankings, or when we create matches, the first thing we do is sort by elo. So if there's a number of people in the queue, the highest elo people, the middle elo people, the lowest elo people are going to be grouped together in some way. So there's just a lot of what we perceive as BM in the match lobby. Things that just don't make for a good match. The lowest person thinks that they can't jungle and they have to support because for whatever reason, I play a lot of ranks, so I know how it is to be on the bottom. And believe me, every time I launch a match, it's random to me. I don't know I'm going to be the first one. So it really doesn't really matter. In the end, the matches aren't going to be any different. Even though that there is the potential at the highest level where, Ray's not banning people or banning gods because it was random and he didn't get and because he's in a strange game where the elos aren't close, that's going to happen. And there's other things we're going to do to address the Ray problem, the Lassus and the queue problem. We're actually going to move away from time queues relatively quickly.
Oh, nice.
But there are some things that we have to do to the matchmaker that just to make sure that we're going to get the best matches. So there are some matchmaking improvements going to come within the next 30 days. And within that, time queues will probably be no more.
So at this point, pretty much from what it sounds like as well, is the population's at a point now where, because all three of us have been around for quite a while, where the population was not there in ranked to the point where at least we felt, and maybe it's just because you hear about this more, that we felt where like top elo and bottom elo, the spread was so significant. Whereas what you're saying now, it sounds like either the changes to matchmaking or the population has gotten to a point where the pools are more available.
It's mostly the latter, to be honest.
Okay.
There's been very little matchmaking changes.
Okay.
It's been more population based. So because we changed the ranking system and now there is, people are more apt to play all the time as opposed to just at the beginning of the month to get their 10 games in. Now, because of that, the queues are actually full for most of the 24-hour period of the day. And because of the more people in the queue, then the sorting works better, the matchmaker works better. Everything works better when you have more people.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, that's kind of our perspective on that. And we didn't like remove the code. We can turn sorting back on just through a database configuration. So if this thing doesn't work and we were wrong, we're going to change it. But as far as we are going to go forward just to see how it ends up on Wednesday. Yeah. Like I said, we've been wrong before, and we've changed things back to how they were. So so anyway, so lots of matchmaking stuff going to happen the next month. The guy that does a lot of our programming for the matchmaker, who has incidentally been with the company for 8 years, he's done a ton of different algorithms, and we do a lot of statistical analysis at the end of every month to make sure that we're making the best matches possible with the population that we have, and with the queue fragmentation that we have. Those are things that we're going to do. Anyway, so he is. We have a few specifically around non-time queues and teams. There's some tweaks that we want to make to round out the system for that.
So something that we were talking about earlier, and maybe it went away. I'd be interested to hear why it went away and if it would be valuable now. And we kind of discussed it, and I can actually see the value in it now, because you made a comment, and I'm talking about seeing someone's current matchmaking value, MMR or ELO, whatnot, being able to see that in ranked. And the reason I ask about that now is because you're saying, hey, the spread from the top of the list and the bottom of the list right now is super close, and it's only within a few points, but people don't know that because of the fact that their ELO is not listed. And so what happens is naturally you have the BM occur and the trolling occur, which is exactly what you talked about. You're at the bottom. So therefore your ELO must be horrible. When in reality, you're telling us that's not the case. You could be 25 points, you could be 50 points, you could be 2 points. What, I guess for the community, why was that taken out in the first place? And is it valuable to put it back in possibly?
Yeah, well, definitely it was taken out in the beginning where our queue population was low, and we did have wide ranges. Anytime you have numbers showing and people like seeing it, being exposed like that, there's going to be people that are going to harass other people. So even though you might not do it, there's going to be people that are going to do it, and there are going to be matches where we have to launch just based on the population that are going to have a wider range. So yeah, that definitely is not something that we're going to expose, but we may start to show like what division you're in. Which gives you a relative, a relative idea of where they are. The other thing we're doing this next patch is we're going to speed up your tracking towards your ELO's division. So if you're a gold 3 player and you're grinding through bronze, skipping every other division because you are away from where you're supposed to be, we're going to actually, on your first promotion, move you 6 divisions from where you are supposed to be, and then once we're a little bit more sure of your ELO, we're going to move you 3. So that may be your next promotion, or that may be 2 promotions from there. So that's going to quickly move people into the bell curve, let's say, of the ELO system. So when you see a gold 3 player, you're going to pretty much know that their ranking is X. So anyway, so that's kind of, I mean, and that's what the ranking systems are all about, right? They're about like getting away from the ELO number itself, 1524, and moving towards just something a little bit more, something you can talk about easier, which is, hey, I'm a bronze division 3 player.
I like it. I mean, I think it's a great, it's just something to look at when you jump into lobby compared to just a name. So I really like the idea. Now you're saying that at some point, I know it's getting tossed around, stuff like that. Would it be in lobby, or would it be on just the player card when you're loading in the splash screen?
I like your lobby idea. I mean, it could be that. We're definitely, like, every time we so every 2 months the league system turns over. It doesn't do a reset, but it does reset your current points in your current division. And we have a chance to hand out rewards at that time.
Excellent.
So
yeah.
January 1st is the time will be our first season 2
Okay.
turnover or round, and we're going to be handing out the player icons. And so if you want to, you're going to be able to show that you're, you know, Platinum 1 or whatever you want to show on your loading cards. We're also redoing the art, by the way, for Conquest. So we weren't that happy with how the art turned out for Season 2's Conquest. So it's going to be a lot cooler come Wednesday.
That'll be cool. The Conquest changes on the map. I like it. So, yeah, I mean, I love the idea of being able to put any type of rankings or anything on the lobby area so that you can go ahead and view that as you're picking and banning, and you can see, oh, I'm playing with Fats. Wow, like, look at all the credentials he has. Like, I think that's really cool. I think that helps out a little bit more. If you're not going to show Elo, I feel like that's the next best thing, is to show, like, your division stuff.
At a minimum, we should be able to show player icon.
Yeah.
And your player icon can be your last round's ending, where you ended up in the last round.
Cret and Fats, what do you guys think? Yeah, I mean,
That's
hey,
really cool.
If you can, I mean, I think it's awesome. I mean, if you're not going to show Elo, let's see something else compared to just a name. And if the players can control that too, that would be cool. But Fats and Cret, what are your thoughts on just some of the things that Chris had talked about?
Based on Chris's explanation of the way matchmaking works in most matches, I now have confidence in this change. Because I feel like the problem isn't for Zapman or Lasses or even some of the other less notable but still high-ranked players like Ray Ray, because they have name recognition. So they're going to go into a game and maybe they're on the bottom, they're not doing picks or bans, but the guys be like, oh, it's Zapman, let me listen to him. So that sounds like you could slide by on it until the actual matchmaking changes come through. So I'm really excited and I have faith now.
Awesome.
Any thoughts about, like, what's happening with the Siege 4v4 versus 5v5 conversation? Because me and Fats, team 5v5, and I know this has got to be a tough one.
Yeah, this is definitely a tough one. There's some really nice things that 4v4 allows us to have, and that's one. It just gives us another team size that's different than Conquest, that's different than Arena, and that's different than the 3v3. I think we're going to stick with 4v4, to be honest. That's my gut feel based on, you know, after we made the change, we looked at, you know, how many people are still playing, how many people continue to play. There wasn't a big uptick, but there was definitely not a downtick in the number of people playing. So that's important to us. We wanted to make sure that people that are still playing 4v4 are still, I mean, if they're not having fun, they definitely wouldn't queue it anymore, right? Yeah. Also, this patch, we're going to remove the beta tag. We're adding all the new art, so the new Siege minions coming and a bunch of other things. So we're happy with how, Siege being able to be competitive and also be something that you could, queue with your 4 buddies on the weekend is something that definitely we want to strive for. If it's strictly a casual queue, I don't know, it just becomes a little less interesting to the player base over time. Dominion was like that. Arena's a little unique, and we tried to make that a competitive mode. We weren't happy with how that turned out. So obviously that's just for us. It's all about just the casual, like, I want to just go in, have fun, not worry about anything, and then just re-queue it. I mean, but Siege, even though it's kind of a casual entry into Conquest. Mm-hmm. We want there to be strategies. We want there to be, different things in that map that make it potentially a competitive arena.
So, can we start to call you like the new HiRez then? Like, are you like the new spoiler?
I mean, I have ideas to make 5v5 competitive. I could have did that.
Here's the one thing though that I
That's
really like,
the new designer. We got your resume in the mail.
What the three
HiRez
things that say, hire me, please?
Yeah, right.
Yes.
I'm down. Like, let's do this.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of we read the Reddits, and we read all the hate, and we read all the people that were for it and against it. And you know what? It may change back. We don't know. I mean, HiRez was actually really for the 5v5 versus the 4v4. And but some people were able to convince him to let us try the 4v4, and that's how it landed basically.
Yeah.
The one thing that I will definitely give 4v4 is Smite has always had the problem of what do we do with 4-man queues. I've been playing this game for so long.
There's the solution.
I remember when 4Q was removed, and it's like, you can only 3Q Conquest last night. No! But the game quality is so much better. And so that
yeah, 4v4, or I mean 4-man teams in a 5-man queue is
ruin everything.
Really the worst situation a matchmaker can do. Plus you have the solo person that has to endure the 4 people harassing them or whatever it happens to be. But yeah, but having the 4-man team and being able to go into Siege and participate in the game mode in its fullest is kind of cool.
What we had talked about it earlier. What justifies setting up and you guys actually implementing a ranked version of that game mode? Because we talked about it with Arena, and then people I saw in chat were wondering about that with Siege at some point. Is it strictly population when playing it, or what determines that you guys are going to run that and actually start that?
So, are you talking about tournaments on the weekend, or are you talking about a league siege?
I'm sorry, yes, league siege. Like if there's a league siege, or ranked as people call it, more league though is what the proper name is. And same thing, like it's the same topic as like arena ranked.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Actually, it's a very similar decision point that we would have to make with bringing like arena back, and that's queue population and fragmentation. I don't think we will add any new. We won't add a new league game mode in the middle of a season. So we wouldn't bring, and Siege might be the next one, or a new 3v3 map might be the next one. I don't know. But that wouldn't come until first quarter of next year when we go to Season 3.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, and we're continuing looking all the game modes. We're looking at Joust. We're looking at 3v3. Do those need to be different maps? Do we need new objectives on those maps to make those very competitive and a very fun, game mode? 3v3 actually does very well in Smite. A lot of people play that mode, but there's a lot of things that we basically just took the Joust and turned on a few parameters and made it a 3v3. So I wouldn't say there was a lot of thought put into the 3v3 game mode. Mm-hmm. So that's something that we're going to want to do probably this year and figure out how to make that game mode just really rock.
Yeah. Do you guys seem to have the population numbers with 3v3 or no?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of people that play 3v3 every day.
Okay.
Actually, there's more than play Siege at this point, but less than play Conquest or Arena. But I mean, it's a very popular game mode.
You guys need to add that in game where we can go ahead and see the average amount of game or how many games played that day or week. I think it'd be cool to see. If it's available, that type of stuff is what I love seeing in games. Where like you log into StarCraft 2 and it says total amount of games played ever in StarCraft 2. Where you can see how many games are currently being played at that moment and stuff like that. Like they're just like they're little stats, but I feel like they're valuable as a community to be able to see, wow, like here's where our success is. And I feel like some of the justifications that you guys make, like, hey, we're removing arena ranked. Well, here's the stats, guys, and here's why.
Yeah. I think we should have some infographics on that every once in a while. Yeah. Having it in the game's a little that's information that normally game companies won't release just because there's some sort of holding back of how many people are actually online at a certain time, and
Okay.
it's just something that at this point management hasn't wanted to release that information.
You guys can't
but-
be completely transparent? I don't understand. Man,
No
geez.
one is completely transparent.
Yeah, it's
Brent.
marketing. Shoutouts to marketing.
So yeah, I know there was some questions about like servers in other regions.
Yeah,
and
that'd be good to know.
everyone. Yeah, there's I think it's somewhat known now that Tencent has. So Tencent's part of is thought of as the Asian.
Yes.
Publisher for Smite,
Mhm.
but really it's everything but EU and NA.
Yeah.
Oh
that's what
wow! So it's
that's
like
what we figured out.
everywhere. Okay.
Right. So even like Oceanic servers, Brazilian servers, all of those things are being handled through Tencent.
Are
LevelUp
they
is-
doing level up? Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, I mean LevelUp is being subcontracted through
From
Tencent,
Tencent.
so that's not
Yeah.
that's just something that that's a relationship that is outside of HiRez.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I had heard something about that at some point. Someone was like, "Oh, LevelUp is a subsidiary or something like that of Tencent," but I'm glad you clarified it. It's just subcontracted out in the different regions, and I feel like this is the first move for Tencent outside of because it's not subcontract over in China. They're the direct publisher, correct?
That's correct.
So this is kind of the first move then in moving in that direction.
Yeah, it's the first. I mean, this is everyone's kind of seeing this is the first area outside of Asia that we're starting up. Maybe potentially an entire new server farm. There's the choice of having the Brazilians play with NA and EU and just having it as another drop down, as your preferred region, or it could be a separate server itself, meaning that the client would only connect to that part of the country. They wouldn't be part of the NAEU hosting environment.
I guess my big question here, and maybe you can answer it, and I don't know if just looking at it, like when you log into Smite, you have NA or like your EU that you can pick from. We don't have the ability to select like China. We probably won't have the ability to select, in Brazil. They just seem to be so separate. Is that a direction that you guys are moving intentionally? The reason I say it is because there is such a huge disconnect right now between the NAEU is like its own little family, and then Tencent is completely separate, like completely separate. Are we going to see that with Brazil as well, to the point where all of a sudden it's going to be all these little publishing areas of Smite, but now they're not all connected? Because I feel like NA and EU are so well connected, and maybe that might be just because of you guys are the backing for that. Whereas with like Tencent and now LevelUp, there's such a huge separation and divide, and so the whole world is not on the same page at all with Smite. It's very separated.
Yeah, I mean the biggest decision that we'd have to make, or the publisher has to make, is how many core changes does the region want, and could it be hosted in the same environment? So the Asian market has so many different changes and rules that cannot actually be technically done as just a preferred region. It has to be a different client and a different server, because there's actually rules that are different. Other regions like Brazil maybe are closer to the EU NA rule set.
Okay.
So it could be in the same hosting environment, but that's a decision that the publisher has to make.
Because I just hate the reason I say it is like I'm just looking like 5 years down the road, and let's say Smite is in every country, which would be awesome. Well, all of a sudden you could have 15 renditions of the game on different patches and such like that, where all of a sudden like nobody's even on the same page because the patches are, you know what I mean? Like China's quite significantly behind us. Well, Brazil could be on a separate patch, and then all of a sudden it's like you got a game, but the meta is completely different country to country because of that.
The goal is to keep, like, the differences between the countries are billing, pricing, and potentially skin, looks or base model looks. it's not game rules. The game rules will most likely be very, very similar,
Okay.
and the patch cycles should be very close.
Okay.
I mean, League of Legends does it, right? I mean, League of Legends has their, NAEU environment and their Asian environments separate.
Okay.
I mean, and they're able to do it, right? It's possible to do, even though they're on different environments.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Any of you guys have any other questions for Chris or thoughts on anything we talked about today? Or Chris, you want to chime in on anything else we discussed today?
When do I get hired?
Yeah.
Hey, why
Cass,
years?
did you send in your application?
That's right.
Yes.
You did?
Oh,
Okay.
There you go.
All right. What position did you apply for?
I applied for support
Smite
tech and QA tester.
Smite producer.
All right. Well, I'll ask where your resume is.
There you go. That's one way to sell it fast.
I'll ask the man himself.
There you go.
Stu
That
Chisholm.
was a joke, please. No, I didn't actually. I was going to, but then now they're off the website, so I can't do it anymore. So now I'm mad.
Hi-Rez Fats. That's right.
I wish I can dream.
Yeah. Is there anything else? You guys have any other questions?
I mean,
I know I don't get on here very often, so. I hear some rumblings upstairs, so I'm thinking I have to go up and eat dinner pretty soon.
So my complaint with Siege 4v4 is just the balance of the game mode. Are there any thoughts in changing it? The problem is it's 2v2 and 2v2, and once one lane is decided, it just feels like the game ends because that snowball carries over to the other lane, then the Silver Fury, and then you push down.
Yep.
The Titan, and it feels like something like the tower distance change that happened to Conquest so long ago, given to Siege, or some other change to create a stronger lane and weaker lane, or some difference between the two lanes, would really do a lot to make the game mode deeper. Because right now, my biggest complaint is that it's a little bit shallow of just win lane, win game.
I would love to be able to answer your question, but here's my problem. I don't play that game mode. I'm like, when I log into Smite, like I play Conquest, so I'm all about Conquest. This is more of a HiRez Scott, our lead designer. You guys will have to get him on chat or something. And HiRez, really, because HiRez and Scott are the ones that design that map. So, I wish I could answer your question, but I don't know. If the map's not playing right, I can guarantee you it'll be changed. So I mean, there's a lot more analysis. We've only had the map out for 5 weeks or 6 weeks now. I think just like Conquest did. I mean, how many iterations of the Conquest map?
Oh my word!
I still miss like the cotton candy trees.
Right. I mean, and to tell you the truth, we're going to have more iterations on Conquest. I mean, this game just continues to evolve as the meta changes, as the player base changes. Nothing is static. So that's what I can say about it.
I have my one question. Well, let's make it two. One question.
Uh-oh.
Everybody wants this. Is there ever a chance for a match of the day featuring old Smite?
Ooh, like the old map?
No, I mean
that's
old
cool.
Smite.
Yeah, that's a great question, and the answer is no. No, and here's why. Number one, the game rules are just not even, they don't even exist anymore in the code base. We'd have to like dig them out of Perforce or something.
Wow.
But the biggest reason is content. The map footprint for each map is so large that it just bloats the entire download.
Okay.
Now, there are some things that we're going to do about like only downloading things when you request them, and some things that like help people get in the game quicker when they're downloading the game for the first time. But yeah, that's the biggest reason we don't have like the old, classic version of Conquest. It's just because it's like it'd be like a gig of content that would just sit there. So that's the reason. Not because we wouldn't want it. It's just because it's not really possible.
Okay.
What was your other question?
Since you just brought up the idea of 4v4 Siege being what will be known as Siege from now on, even though I hate that, since it's just 2 duo lanes, is there a chance for that to be a duo queue ranked?
Ooh. I like it.
Instead of queuing up solo for that game mode, you'd have to duo as 2.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, stuck in your lane.
I like that
No, I
value.
mean, it's a great question. I mean, I see a lot of people are asking for it. A lot of people love the idea of dual queue, and I don't disagree with them. Like, I really want to, like, you know, queue with Lionheart or Scott or those guys. I mean, that's just something you want to do, especially as a ranked player, because all I play is ranked. So that, you know, I want to play with friends too. So that is one of the things we are looking at. We are looking at team queuing into ranked. You know, can we make fair matches still? Those are the changes that are going to be made over the next 30 days to like bring us closer to that. We still are going to have to do some analysis on, you know, the effect of matchmaking, and but it's something that we want to. It's not just the community.
Okay.
Any other questions, guys? Anything else we wanted to talk about? Good? Good?
Same question from before. Hire me.
All right.
All right, well,
It's not
good
even a
deal.
question, it's just like a please.
That's right. Well,
all right, dudes.
If you guys have more questions for Chris or anything else, I guess best place is Twitter, right, Chris?
Yeah, Twitter's a good one. But yeah, I'll you know, every once in a while I'll come on and
I like it. Set us straight.
Give you an
Set us
update.
straight. Yeah, right.
set you straight.
Oh,
you know.
actually, here's a good question. When we find one of those like weird bugs, like when I found out that Fenrir's Brutalized costs 5 more mana, that said, what's the best place to do that? The Smite Reddit bug report, the official forums, like where should someone put something like that?
We have more people like watching like the Reddit bug report and the bug report that's in our own forums. I mean, we have so many people like combing through that every day. That really is the best place. You're going to get a fairly quick answer, or you know, or if it's, you know, if it's very sensitive, you can just, you know, Twitter me, do a private message to me, and I'll get it to Kabir. You know, some things you don't want to put on the forums if it's like, you know, game breaking.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, check out HiRez Chris on Twitter, as he talked about. It's just HiRez Chris, literally on Twitter. Check him out over there. And Chris, thanks for stopping on, man. I appreciate it.
All right, see you guys.
Have a good night.
Thanks for coming on, man.
All right, guys. Well, that'll pretty much round us out for today's show. If you guys enjoyed the show, make sure you go down below and go to the feedback area and click there, and then go ahead and leave us some feedback on the Smite update. Always interested in hearing, you know, how you guys feel about the show, and positive and or negative feedback. Regardless, you know, we're always looking for constructive criticism for sure. If you guys want to check out the whole thing of today's episode, and you didn't have a chance to watch the whole thing, it will be on YouTube tomorrow. YouTube.com/TheSmiteUpdate. It's at the bottom of this overlay that you guys see here as well. As we talked about earlier in the show, it is also available on iTunes. So go ahead and look for it on iTunes. It's audio only on iTunes. Shout outs to Hi-Rez Studios for hosting the show on their channel. We go ahead and do this show live every Sunday at 5:00 p.m. Eastern. And Fats, where can people check you out?
Twitch.tv/xfats, Twitter.com/xfats, YouTube.com/ I don't use YouTube.
All right, you're on it. What about you, Cret?
You can check me out at twitch.tv/Kretata. That's TUH2H. I've been talking in the chat. Drop a follow. I try to stream Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Other days I'm doing stuff for Smite Central. You can check them out at twitch.tv/Smite Central. They just got a sub button. It's dope as hell.
Well, that's hype.
Twitter.com/Kretata, TUH2H. If you like what I'm saying, special shout out to SuperDonkey106 in chat who said Cred is so smart, lol. You know what's up. And shout outs to Bagel500 and Harrow, my favorite rank shitters.
Oh, there you go. Well, good deal, guys. Next week, we will be having F. back on the show. This week, he had some plans and was not able to make it last minute. So, shout-outs to Cret for stepping in for us and, you know, holding down the fort while F. is not here. We're going to have the three of us back on the show eventually. Eventually, we'll have Fats, myself, and F. So, make sure you guys join us next week. If you guys can go ahead and make it 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on Smite Game. And we'll see you guys then. Take care, everybody.